Good evening, Darts fans, and welcome back to the Modus Super Series here in Portsmouth. We are getting very, very close to the finals in Week 12. We have 3 names already in the hat, and even with 50% of the field filled, we have got a heavyweight feel to it, and it's less than 24 hours away from the semi-finals. So, 10 games tonight, and we've got Glenn Durrant with us to see who the last 3 names are into the hat for the Week 12 finals. Before we get to Group B, though, Group C this afternoon, it didn't disappoint because we went all the way to the final round of play and we even had a shootout to see who the last name was.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was one of the best Group Cs we've sort of been involved in. We had that concentrated because of the John McCarthy only, getting on 0 points, but he did have his magic moment at that 170 finish, and I chatted with him afterwards, and he's only seeing the positives from an experience, but a wonderful Group C.
Well, as far as Group B is concerned, we weren't disappointed with that last night either, because people turned up, people won, someone didn't, but in the middle, there was a bit of everything. Once, 2 darts and double 18.
I've got a question for you next leg. Plenty of time to see Reynolds
Senior player. It's difficult for some. It's not overnight like your Dimitris and your Luke Humphreys all the time. But then again, that's an 11 darter.
Yeah, I think they've got a good team around him. This is better from Reynolds. Oh, this is much better from Reynolds. Where's that come from? What a finish.
West heard those words. He can put an exclamation mark next to them by hitting tops again. And he does. Seeing Steve West at the top of the table, no real surprise there. But the chasing pack, Pilgrim, Reynolds and Evetts, with Ryan O'Sullivan yet to score. This could be almost anything tonight, Glenn.
Yeah, similar to the Group C, and the fact that Ryan O'Sullivan on 0 points means it's going to be very tight. You could have a player on a score which is normally good enough for Group B. Steve West, his B game was good enough last night, and when he needed to in his final game, he put together a performance which we expect from him. But picking 2 from 3, and the reason I want to sort of mention Steve Reynolds right now, number 1, he plays first against Ryan O'Sullivan, so a big opportunity for him to go back to the players area and see himself in second place. And going back to Group C, the second part is Richie Howson was in the studio earlier, and he just reminded us that he's played Reynolds recently, and he's much, much better than we've actually seen from him. The best is yet to come from Reynolds, maybe.
If anybody was watching last night, did they get a masterclass from West about how you use experience and not having to need your A game to get results?
Yeah, he's full of quality. I mean, he's up against, look at Daryl Pilgrim. And the reason Daryl Pilgrim's doing that is Daryl Pilgrim was the better player for the majority of that game. But what West is good at is using that experience. And when give him an opportunity, he doesn't miss. And like I said, he wasn't playing his sparkling best. But at the Modus Super Series, you don't want to produce your best in Group B. You want to do that on the Saturday night. I was very, very impressed.
When it comes to the odds for winning this group, it's probably no surprise to see that Steve West is a heavy favourite to get the job done because he does have a 4-point buffer towards the top. But Pilgrim, Evetts and Reynolds could still catch him, but the odds compilers don't think they will.
Yeah, what is interesting, though, his first 2 games are Pilgrim and Evetts. I think he had a fantastic schedule yesterday and opened up with Reynolds and Ryan O'Sullivan. So I think I sat here this time yesterday and said West will be on 4 points in the space of 45 minutes. What is interesting, roles reversal this time. So just to give some defence on that 1 to 16, because that is red hot. The fact that it'll be interesting if he loses them first 2 games.
We could talk here all night about what happened last night, but everybody at home, I'm sure, wants to watch the darts. I'm sure we do too. So, without further ado, we are going to get onto the hockey in the next few moments. But before we do, we are going to show you how you can get your tickets for coming down to Portsmouth if you have the time, if you have the inclination. Of course you do. Get yourself a little look at this and come and join us down here at Portsmouth at the Live Lounge. Yes, you don't want to miss a Saturday night in Portsmouth. Indeed. Any day we can actually offer tickets to you because we are going to have plenty of events throughout 2025. Stay tuned to dartshop.tv and to the Modus Super Series moving forward because we have plenty to offer you moving forward. We do have a select few tickets left for tomorrow night, but you must be really quick because Jimmy Van Ski's in town. And now that we have another couple of people in the hat in Conan Whitehead and Richie Howson, very popular players who will love to get their hands on a weekly title before the end of the year. You might even want to see Steve Reynolds. He is quite a bit from home as far as mileage is concerned. And if he stands a chance of getting through this group, a win over Rhian Sullivan again is surely what he needs to do to start his night, Glenn.
First leg, Steve to throw first. Game on.
Both players will be well looked after with the legend that is Paul Hinks, refereeing the night's proceedings. And Steve Reynolds had a real journey last night. I mean,
60.
I was very impressed actually with his Group A campaign. But he started very, very slowly yesterday against Steve West, and I did
85.
fear for him. He then went into his second game, and it was a blistering start from Ted Evetts in that game, but a 1-3-7 checkout from this man really sort of got him going. And to
45.
finish in third place, a qualifying position, of course, going into today, I think he'll have seen with one that he really got away with it because he sort of struggled in his last game
121.
with Rhian O'Sullivan, but from absolutely nowhere, Paul pinged a 1-5-7, and that really got him going. So it'll be really interesting to see how he adapts to the situation
95.
tonight.
Is it fair for us to say that if he gets off to the same start tonight, that Rhian will beat him? Because his start on
100.
Thursday evening was very slow.
Do you know, we were talking about Rhian being sort of a little bit disappointing last night. I thought we were going to get better for her, but in old money, she was averaging round about the 22,
85.
round about the 23, round about the 24 average per dart. Now, at her county darts, that's, roughly, she'd be very happy with that type of game. So maybe it's all about levels.
99.
But I was hoping that playing against a Steve Reynolds, playing against a Ted Evetts, it'll bring her game on. I would like to see just a little bit more because both of us sat in the comms box are big, big fans of
100.
Rhian O'Sullivan.
Rhian O'Sullivan, 96.
She can take the first leg. She may still get the chance. Might just need
38.
a few confidence-boosting
Steve
visits
O'Sullivan,
at the start of this
116.
match to get herself going.
I also, Paul, get the feeling someone said to her, you're playing a little bit too quick last night. It's a more measured pace. You will come back
60.
on this 58.
Rhian O'Sullivan, 58.
And let me promise you, she's normally so deadly. Stay big, hit the tops.
18.
That
Steve
is what we
O'Sullivan,
call the term
56.
very unlucky.
To get off to a better start than last night, he needs double 10. There were a few facial expressions in game one last night,
Game shot on the first leg.
and that
Steve
is a good one.
Reynolds.
To be fair, when he gets down to a double, that's when I start
Sound like Rhian
feeling
to throw
confident for
first.
Steve
Game
Reynolds.
on.
He has put towards some good numbers in the upper quartile of this week in relation to the doubles. It maybe doesn't have the
140.
maybe doesn't have the firepower and has a tendency to go very low when he's missing, i.e. that dart right in front of you there.
70.
At 2:30 on Wednesday afternoon, when we knew who was going to be in Group B, we looked at West, we looked at Pilgrim, we looked at
81.
Evetts. Then O'Sullivan and Reynolds. And it's fair to say that 95% of people tipping were saying it's going to be Evetts,
60.
it's going to be West, it's going to be Pilgrim. So by that token, is there any pressure on Reynolds tonight?
I mean, you set your own pressures, don't you?
100.
But yeah, you feel like he's on a bit of a free ride because I was in that 95%, let me add. So I was really impressed the way Steve got through last night. And it'd be a wonderful story. It really
60.
would. He's on debut here. He has that quirky throat. It's not as aggressive as yesterday. He was absolutely being a powerhouse, which is a clear
60.
sign of tension for me. It was almost like a little bit of panic when he was about to release the dart there. So it looks a lot smoother. But I tell you what, Rhiannon O'Sullivan looks a different player already. The average is not suggesting that right now in relation to Reynolds. But Rhiannon
24.
O'Sullivan is
Rhiannon
mid-80s where I
120.
expected it to be. And what I'm seeing visually, Paul, she's more measured. Go for it, girl.
100.
It's the time between thuds. So if you just looked at the board and you closed your eyes and you listened to the noises of each dart hitting the board,
100.
there's
Rhiannon
a little bit more
20.
time between the thuds tonight than there was last night.
Deserves to level this match.
Getting shot on the
Julie
second
does
leg.
so.
Rhiannon O'Sullivan.
Rhiannon O'Sullivan's been the better player in these first two legs.
Third leg,
Steve
Steve
Reynolds,
through
though.
first. Game on.
He's a fighter. You can tell he loves being involved in a scrap. And listening to Richie House, and it was a deserved qualifier today. He said he played him round about in the summer in a second round of a competition in Rotherham.
45.
And he said, Glenn, he can play. There's more levels to the Steve Reynolds game. So it will be interesting to see how he deals with the situation.
66.
I've got a question to ask you, Glenn. I am intrigued by this because I am part of the generation that has been asked to rank the best players of all time and things like that.
100.
But let us compartmentalise this one because you and I both know enough about the subject. Rhiannon O'Sullivan,
36.
best Welsh lady dart player?
Yeah, immediately in my mind when Julie Gore for starters.
Yeah, I went Julie as well because she's won a
100.
World Masters. And I think that carries a lot of weight.
Yeah, you've got me thinking there.
Rhiannon Griffiths as well.
Yeah, superb player.
180.
But maybe the mention of that subject has got Rhiannon kicking into gear because her career isn't finished.
Maybe she could hear us, and just a little reminder that she is the best. My mind's actually, who beat Dieter Hedman? She was very young to
59.
win the World Masters. I don't think she then kicked on after that.
Leanne Maddox.
That's the one. I'm assuming she's Welsh. This is great.
125.
This is the Rhiannon O'Sullivan I was hoping for yesterday.
I tell you who would have been the best Welsh lady dart player if she continued to play.
95.
Rhiannon
O'Connor,
Thomas.
94.
She was exceptional.
Oh,
Just the layup.
54.
And if
Steve
Reynolds
O'Connor,
doesn't take this out,
102.
he could be behind. The output that you're getting from Reynolds right now is very similar to that of the first game on Thursday. The same is happening.
50. Rhiannon O'Connor, 40.
The score of 50 and a hug.
Getting shown the third
Impressive.
leg. Rhiannon O'Sullivan.
Very, very impressive. Part of me was thinking, was the
Fourth leg,
experience
Rhiannon through first. Game on.
that disappointing for Rhiannon that we weren't going to see much from her tonight? She's been a delight for these three legs, and they're lucky not to be 3-0 up at this stage.
85.
She's got levels.
Steve Reynolds has got that carrot dangling in a sense that he can go into second place with victory here.
$60.
Well, I tell you what, that's the best 60 of the week. We cannot get any closer to that treble 20. I think Rhiannon hit the same spot.
81.
Just to give you an indication of the ceiling of performance that you can get from O'Sullivan. Her personal best, it was in 2023
95.
at an early women's series event last May. She beat Mikuru Suzuki in an early round, averaging 100.2.
121.
Not many lady dart players in the women's series have averaged in 3 figures. If you've done that, you're in a very select group.
100.
Now, I'm not saying that she has to average in 3 figures to win games here tonight.
100.
But if she can, potentially in little spurts, she may stand a very good chance of upsetting the odds for other people.
Oh, that spoiler role is played in game 1
42.
here.
Rian, your car, 114.
Because the 3 players we expected to qualify will be delighted with the way Rian's playing here. Tops for a 3-1 lead.
94.
It's fairly comfortable at this stage. It is Steve's job. I almost said Steve Jobs. It's Steve's job to make sure that going for double 10
60. Rian, your car,
feels
20.
uncomfortable, and he hasn't done that. The angle has to change, and the outcome doesn't.
No score. Steve, your car, 144.
Yeah, 2 from 10 on the doubles for Rian. Apart from that, it's been picture perfect. But Reynolds is very capable of a big finish. We've seen that. Not to be this time, that 157, that
100.
137 that he had.
Rian, your car, 20.
This must go. She's dominated this leg.
Being shown the 4th leg.
Julie
Rian
does.
O'Sullivan.
Outstanding lead.
5th leg, Steve to throw first. Game on.
That shows you that the 3-1 lead is very warranted. Only 2 darts at a double for Reynolds. That's never going to be
100.
enough. O'Sullivan has created a lot of chances in this game.
60.
Thoughts on her rocking the old flight protectors? They're not a particularly fashionable thing these days.
No, I used to use the flight protectors in my time. It's not often you see them now.
55.
I didn't like using those because if one of them was to jump off the top of a flight, I didn't want to have to put it on mid-game.
Yeah, I always like the look of
60.
them. And I tell you what, the darts don't look the newest of tungstens. I think she's pretty traditional, is Rian.
Yeah, it looks like she got this stuff from the Red Dragon catalogue back in the 1990s.
100.
But they were the days when the catalogue would come through the door and that would be like Christmas.
What was that company
100.
with the magazine? I think he was sort of Lancashire way, was it?
Tommy's Darts.
Tommy's Darts. I'll tell you what, the excitement when that landed.
55.
Really are going down memory lane now.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it blew my mind when you could personalise your flights.
100.
When you think the technology now, Paul, they don't realise how lucky they are.
I remember, someone that we know really well, Stevie Wanless from Northumberland. He once turned up with blue kite-shaped flights with Wonnie on them. And he thought, who do you think you are, Steve? You got your name on your flights. I can only get away with saying that because I know him really well. But after mentioning him on this broadcast, I'm probably going to have to owe him a curry. That is 40 scored.
59.
That switch
Steve Car,
was
94.
purely because the second dart was a bit wobbly.
Yeah, I would have liked to see the switch actually on the bullseye to at least leave a 116. Good leg E for Reynolds.
Game
His
shown the
time
5th
to
leg,
dominate.
Steve Reynolds.
He reduces the deficit. It is the time for O'Sullivan's
6th leg,
darts.
Rian to throw first. Game on.
Biggest 3 darts for Rian. She can start off with a ton plus. And we've seen so
41.
many games, Paul, just flip-flop. Maybe it's time for Steve Reynolds to really grab hold of this match. And he seems to be doing it.
He's definitely warming up to something.
121.
We've seen this week from Hilton Klein, who did eventually get 3 wins. Could have actually got more. It took him a
100.
while to get used to the feeling of winning the match. He put himself in the frame a couple of times on Wednesday, and then when Thursday came, he was ready to win. Rian has not been in a winning
41.
position yet, but this could be.
81.
When you analyse her action, it is remarkably simple.
I tell you what is remarkable, how many times this week you've been reading my mind. It's exactly what I was doing. But there's literally no backswing. I don't think simple's the right word. I mean, it's just different. She just
59.
stands there. Now, how is she generating the power? Just there, flick. There, flick.
It's almost like she's got a checkpoint
60.
in front of her eyes and pointing the dart north of the target and then throwing up and knowing how her throw arc will get the dart to its destination. It is very useful. That's not to Rianne, though. That could be hurtful.
Yes, I guess it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And right now, Steve Reynolds is like a steam train. His
83.
first 180 of the night.
Steve Ricard 100.
And we know what he's like. His strength of his game is about now. It's about the finishing area. The decision to be made. What he's looking at there is a 136.
What a marker that is.
80.
And he's missed it
Rianne
completely.
Ricard 136.
So this is a chance to win. Still on. So it might have to be a last leg decider,
64.
where O'Sullivan will
Senior car
not have the
20.
throw. Double 10. That is a bad dart. Can he recover? No.
No score.
This is
Rianne
much
Ricard
more
72.
doable for Rianne now to get points on the board. But the key thing is to take points away from Reynolds.
It's just the one dart at tops.
32. Steve Ricard 20.
First match dart. Will she rue that miss? Are we going the distance? Yes, we are.
Steve Reynolds.
Nothing much to separate them. The start came
Seventh
from
final leg,
O'Sullivan.
Steve to throw first. Game
One
on.
missed opportunity. And we're down to a last leg shootout.
He didn't even know he had the darts. He's in a bit of a spin here, but as his average has crept up by about 4 points, Rianne's has come down by about 7. So they're meeting in the middle of sorts.
140.
Now, if O'Sullivan does get this last leg decider in the bank, she's still mathematically
100.
just a little bit behind the 3 on 4 points, but her leg difference is drastic.
Yes, R. O'Sullivan could do with a big break right now.
81.
Maybe this is it.
140.
You know her walk-on song should be SOS by ABBA, and just replace SOS with ROS. If you need me, call me. I'll be here, ROS.
85.
I wouldn't be surprised if she walks out to something very Welsh.
I was thinking Delilah myself, but she's finding that treble again. This is going down to the wire.
123.
It's a tap on the chair from my learned friend next to me.
Yeah, that was a great recovery. She's trying to do what the Welsh Rugby Union team can't at the minute. They're on a dreadful run.
100.
So can she fly the flag for
138.
Wales and get across the line here by 4 legs to 3?
Super last start there from Reynolds.
94.
And a super
Supercar
last start
95.
from R. O'Sullivan. Reynolds, a decision to be made, and he has changed his mind there. He was going for the bullseye with his first dart, changed his mind. Was it the right decision? It was not.
39.
Chance for
Rianne 44.
Rianne.
Had 1 in the previous leg. Gets 2 here. And unfortunately,
No score.
it is the wrong double,
Steve Ricard
giving
56.
Reynolds a lifeline.
I could hear the sighs from the players in the players area. It would have made things very easy, but Reynolds likes a fight. He likes a scrap. Biggest start of the match.
36. Rianne 44.
So it's back to 44. Okay, that'll do. Double 4.
40.
Can't cross the line, and Reynolds
Senior
gets
car
another
20.
go. This is to go second in the table and to be the only person on 6 points for now. What a dramatic start that was. I just wonder how many lives Steve Reynolds has used up. He knows he should have lost that match. He gets multiple chances and he takes one. Unfortunately for O'Sullivan, it's not to be her first win in this group. So, as we digress, that's the standard we saw. A very dramatic match with both players averaging in the 70s. And we now look to Western Pilgrim to show us what could happen towards the top of the table.
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, and what a dramatic start. Maybe not the quality of this potential game that's up next, but for Rhiannon O'Sullivan, I thought she looked great for the majority of that game, was the better player for the majority of that game. But Steve Reynolds just dug deep, hung in there, and gave a really decisive double at the end. 3 from 16 for Rhiannon O'Sullivan on the doubles. That was her Achilles heel in that game. And I bet there was a few players in that players area that would have liked Steve to have lost that game because it's that tight at the top, but not for that man. Steve West had the perfect night last night, 4 wins out of 4. However, at times the best darts were thrown by that man. No problems at all, hitting 180s. 10 Darryl Pilgrim hit yesterday, but he had the worst ratio on the doubles, and that's something that he'll have to tidy up today. And a really, really big game for Steve West. Victory here. We'll probably look at the scenarios, but almost based on the players he's got
First
coming
leg,
as well.
Steve,
He
is
would
through
think that's
first.
him qualified.
Game on.
For Pilgrim, he can secure a real good second place if he can get victory over Steve West and really kick on from there. Two of the big hitters. This should be an absolute belter, Paul.
100.
I love this fixture. This is what Modus Super Series darts is all about. It's about when the heavyweights collide, and we've got a lot of
45.
heavyweights here in week 12. The thing about this game that interests me is that if West wins, he is 4 points ahead again.
60.
But if he doesn't, he's then got 2 players on 6 points behind him. He becomes a reachable target by the time
99.
he plays against Ted Evetts in Game 5. And that is someone who will hopefully be 2 points behind him as well. So you were talking off air a little bit earlier
45.
tonight about the complexity of these first 2 games for Steve. A comfortable situation could become very uncomfortable if he's not sharp from the off.
Yeah, maybe 1 to
87.
16 is just a little bit too hot for the situation that he's in. But if he wins this game, you know, he's through then. So, I mean, that's the
60.
motivation there for him. I will be absolutely amazed if I am talking at 1:15 in the morning that he hasn't qualified. So I don't think there's any problems. I think a word that you've taught me this week on that stage is just a little bit of patience. Whatever happens in this game, West will be fine.
97.
Well, Pilgrim has sacrificed leaving 170 there because he knew in his own mind that he couldn't hit the treble 20. It's been quite evasive, actually, in this
36.
first leg. This is leg 1, and both have got their chin down.
Yeah, we did build this game up, didn't we? We're expecting blockbuster averages, but that's often what I can do when there's some meaningful
59.
on the line. Like I said, we've talked about what the outcomes are. Now it's about letting the darts do the talking.
I think if both players were given the chance to reboot this first leg, they would take it.
62. That'll do car 114.
Got to go to the treble 18. There it is. And there is
Enjoy
that.
the first leg, Daniel Pilgrim.
Breaks in 18 darts. So a slow start from both
Second
players
Darrell
means
to
that
do
Pilgrim
first.
has the
Game on.
opportunity to get the throw in this match for now, and he has it.
Yeah, we'll keep it updated with the in-play table throughout the night.
95.
I'm not one for talking about players' attire, but I really like the shirt of Steve tonight. The sort of mirrors his darts type thing. It's colours that
60.
I've worn previously myself before. But yeah, I do like the ensemble.
Yeah, he's got a few different colours. He's got the Spurs yellow version. He's got the lighter blue version, and this. I agree with you.
60.
I think this is the nicest one of the bunch. Pops a little bit.
Yeah, you've got one player patting his head who's warm on the stage there, and Steve who's blowing his fingers. He's not settled whatsoever.
28.
And for a dart player, let me tell you, cold fingers is the worst thing that can happen. I always said I could play in a sauna, but I couldn't play in Minehead that year where there was no heating on.
It wasn't fun, trust me. It made everybody
100.
angry.
Yeah, there's a name, wasn't it? Corey Cadby got to the final that year. He had no such problems.
How ironic. Coming from
85.
such a different climate and being okay in the fridge. I just get the feeling
60.
that Westy's got to find a couple of good first starts to get him going here. Just hasn't found a nice comfort zone yet. And he is surrounding this 60 all the time.
43.
Well, I think I'll be a bit more honest than that, Paul. I think it's been a dreadful start for Steve West. He's not shown too much emotion. Like I said, he's blown on his fingers there. And we've just had a little chat together about how players prepare.
134.
Has he made the cardinal sin of just coming tonight automatically thinking he's qualified? But he's not playing like a 1 to 16 shot.
'81. Dollar the car 52.
We'll get on to players that have won all 4 games on Thursday before, because Daryl Pilgrim is now on a shot to be 2-0 up.
20.
Not there yet. To say this game is a bit scruffy is a little bit of a compliment.
60.
It's amazing how many times he's been around that treble 20 without hitting it. It's covered. Maybe he can see 55% of it.
No score.
But apparently
Steve
not enough of it.
144.
Well, I tell you what, I'll drop the mic if this goes, because West has not been at the races whatsoever. I thought would be absolutely typical of him.
140. Dollar the car 32.
Surely this time, Paul.
I can't believe Steve West got his first 140, leaving double 2.
Game shot on the second leg.
He's 2-0 down. They had
Third leg, Steve, the
a
third
very
first.
strange
on.
game in Game 9 in the early hours of Friday as well. Because West won by 4 legs to 2, and you mentioned at the top of the show,
76.
Pilgrim was by far the better player, but West took 50% of his chances and ran with 2 points from that match.
Yeah, for a long part of that match, it was a high-quality
100.
game. Pilgrim would have left the stage and he'd been kicking himself. But he has got the opportunity for revenge. I don't think you want to play Steve West for your first game.
43.
But has he caught him at the right time? Because I cannot think of Steve ever playing this bad. Not at the moment, I mean anywhere. I cannot think of a game where he's produced this. Yes, there's only 2 legs being played. And maybe these 3 darts are going to be the start for him.
85. $58.
I could even say the same about Daryl Pilgrim right now. That's better.
That's the dart he's looking for.
That isn't.
85.
Well, I can confirm that from the records that we have from stuff he's played away from the Modus Super Series, this is statistically one of the worst games he's played. But early stages, there is a chance to recover, and the first start is starting to click.
140.
Definitely getting there.
That'll look 148.
That is perfect. So West does get a chance. Can he
85.
warm into this game
Supercar
by
72.
getting a hold and just planting that seed of doubt in the mind of Pilgrim? Tops.
32.
Doesn't work.
That'll look 63.
I think the pair of us fancied that for Steve West. We thought that was going to be the catalyst. Pilgrim would be delighted to be back. I like that for double 18. And I like that also.
Game shown the third leg, Daryl Pilgrim.
Pilgrim in a surprising 3-0 lead.
Fourth leg, Daryl did through first. Game on.
Let's be honest, Glenn. Which portion of the double 18 was he aiming for, and which portion did he hit there? He's left a puncture wound so close to double 1. It's like putting your
100.
ear up against the door. He's missed the middle of the double 18 by more than an inch. But that's the beauty of some doubles. If you can miss your spot
60.
and have a favoured sort of miss, you can still hit it. That's why some people like certain doubles.
Yeah, and double 18 is one of those doubles. I used to create an imaginary
45.
double above the double. I think doubles was part of the strength of my game. Almost sort of giving the first dart away and using that first dart.
55.
But he'd be delighted when it went into that double 18. And like I said, I don't think for 1 second he thought that this, after 3 legs, averaging in the late 70s, he'd be 3-0 up.
100.
A bizarre game, and not what we expected.
And everything changes if Pilgrim gets a very large win
140.
here, because the leg difference will go into the favour of Pilgrim. West's will be reduced, as will his points lead.
73.
But because of the 4 wins on Thursday night and Friday morning, he is almost allowed 1 or 2
25.
bad games. It's all about just getting to Saturday. He doesn't have to win every game. If you're going to have a bad game, have it early on Friday instead of on Saturday.
Yeah, this might be a real wake-up call for Steve.
162.
He's got like a boxer going back to his corner and getting a couple of minutes. He'll go back and reset. I'm confident to say you won't see Steve West put it like this again.
95. Dollar car 21.
You don't see a 21 checker very often. And you do
Game
not
show
see
the
Steve
match,
West
Darryl
beaten
Pilgrim.
4-0 very often. He's had a couple of doubles in that game, Darryl Pilgrim. The double 18 was nowhere near the middle, and he gets a lovely ricochet for the double 8, but he will take that win and really run away from the stage saying, I had my fortune, I know my opponent didn't play his best darts, but I get the win, and he is now on the same leg difference as West, and he's 2 points behind, taking second position on his own. It's time to see what Ted Evetts can do in his pursuit of the top 3 here tonight. He's going to start against Ryan O'Sullivan.
And welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where, to be honest with you, I'm a little bit speechless after that last game, because I built it up two of the real big hitters in Steve West and Darryl Pilgrim. And I was really surprised at the performance, one from Steve West. And even in victory for Darryl Pilgrim, he still only averaged under 80. But he'd be delighted to get the 2 points. And for Rhiannon O'Sullivan, we have to go back to that first game where, look, at times I thought she looked like the Rhiannon O'Sullivan we really expected in this Group B campaign. Disappointing on the doubles, 3 from 16. And that man, Ted Evetts, yesterday, it was about consistency. 2 of the games, he looked magic. Absolutely superb. He's clearly been working on his throw. I did want to sort of ask him a question tonight, Paul, about it, but I thought mid-competition, I didn't think it's right. A real student of the game, a genuinely nice guy. He wants to reach the upper echelons of the game. He's been one of the best youth players in his time and development tour players. But
First
yes,
leg, Rhiannon through first. Game on.
I guess the scenario is, can Ted be more consistent with the really good stuff we saw last night and Rhiannon score like she did in that first game?
100.
She has to take the positives from that game. First time she's been in a match-winning position. Wasn't able to do it by missing 5 match starts, but still better than what she has done over the last 24 hours or so. But weirdly, she's had the highest average of the first 2 games.
100.
And this is good. This is just steady stuff to start. And for the first time, she's playing someone who hasn't played yet. So can she catch Ted cold? That is the question.
93.
Well, there was nothing cold about the performance from Ted Evetts yesterday against Rhiannon O'Sullivan. It was a splendid performance with Ted averaging 101.90. There was a chasm in the averages in that game. It was very, very one-sided. But the early indications in this one is that Rhiannon O'Sullivan wants to put that scoreline right.
$53.
Does she get another ton to set up a possible 5-ton game? There's your answer.
43.
Now, Evetts' target here is going to be 75. When you're just north of 200, you want a 2 treble visit to get to 2 dart territory. Bull's not really a play here.
100.
Because if you get the 25, you leave 110, which, let's face it, it's the same as 115.
24. Ted your car 115.
Now the bull actually has got an option because you can start there if you so wish.
Yeah, I like that play because the 2 dart of 96 points left. There's the first part of the scenario with the double 18, not just there for Ted Evetts. He'll expect to be back and will be back.
94. Ted your car 36.
Double 18 for a fuss-free break.
Game shown in the first leg, Ted Evetts.
This might just be a night where Ted can pounce. If everybody else is off their game,
Ted to throw first.
and he isn't, he could sail up the table.
Game on.
Let's not forget, he started in 4th. He was outside of the qualifying spots for Saturday at the start of play, but he's seen nothing to worry about so far tonight.
125.
When you look at the numbers he posted yesterday, barring a really disappointing performance against Steve West, where he really was scratching his head, he had a terrific 99 average, and it was a beautiful game against Darryl Pilgrim. Darryl Pilgrim played his part in that game as well. He had a losing average of 94 as well, did Ted Evetts, before he had that 101 again. So it was a good night overall generally, but did only get the 2 wins out of the 4. But he started this one
100.
superbly well again. I'm liking this version of Ted Evetts. And, you know, darting live is all about timing. And with Q School just around the corner, potential Champions Night tomorrow and Champions Week, it could be a very, very good ending to the year for Super Ted.
83.
As long as he's picking up a treble every visit, he's going to be pleased. to stay
21.
in that kind of zone that
Ted
could trouble
153.
O'Sullivan in this kind of mood. She's not laying a glove on Ted right now. Same hole as the last time he hit treble 19. Still looking for the 60.
97.
That is more than sufficient. Picking off good scores.
I keep having moments when I'm playing Ted on Sunday as well. Ugh.
100. Ted your car 56.
You're playing him, he's playing you. Your team's playing his team. You'll have to tune in to see what happens on Sunday afternoon.
36.
We know what's happening here. Evetts will be back to consolidate that break that he got in leg one.
Yep, no reaction there from Ted. He's not someone to throw his arms about and sulk over a missed double.
81. Ted your car 20.
His darting throw is all about process. Everything is thought-driven.
Game shown in the second leg.
And the
Ted
outcome,
Evetts.
very, very positive for Ted. Genuinely like what I'm seeing.
Third leg Rihanna through first. Game on.
If Ted wasn't a world-class dart player, I think he would be the ideal candidate to have a food truck.
60.
He knows a lot about cooking. He's got some great ideas for certain things. He makes the best chocolates on tour by a country mile.
Yeah, I was going to say with you, I sat with him for 3 years and you should taste his chocolate.
43.
He used to make these white chocolate, raspberry and Prosecco truffles. Oh my word.
98.
I asked him when he first got here on Thursday afternoon, have you brought any with you? And he said, no, I'm thinking of some new ideas at the minute. And that was, one, he didn't bring any chocolate. But when he said, I've got some more ideas, it means we'll be excited about the new stuff.
I think he's put the cooking to one side. I think he's been
83.
practicing heavily. I don't see his name much around the ADC circuit. He's not playing his county darts now, so whether he's still playing locally or if he's playing some online stuff, but whatever he's doing, you just sense it's working. There's a real story behind
58.
Ted. A player who just loved being a professional. You mentioned it yesterday, Paul. Was it 6-7 years he was a professional?
Indeed.
So it'll hurt him to
43.
go down and losing his card. But sometimes in life, you've got to take a step backwards to move forwards, and maybe that's the case for Ted.
He's really good pals with Bradley Brooks. And he's seen Brad have the ups and downs as well. But if you look at someone like Richie Edhouse, for instance, he had to step back multiple times to figure out how to get it done. And look at him now.
60.
Mike De Decker as well.
I think we use the term for Richie Edhouse once, a bit of a journeyman. Well, it's a real rocky story right now, that's for sure.
45.
Well, as much as we've been chatting about Ted, he's gone a little bit quiet here. 140 on this 200 left. Will be the target. Can he just slice his way through that second dart? Come on, he says to himself.
100.
Yeah, I think with a 60 in the first dart there, he's not going to be happy with just halving the score.
26.
He's going to be happy when he comes back. He's still got a half a dart lead and the throw to get that double break on tops. Not quite.
Rihanna your car 146.
Old school is Rihanna. Expected to start in the treble 20. Does. There will be pressure on this 20 for Ted Evetts. There was no problem at all in the last leg.
Ted your car 20.
And this to go one away. Never taking his eyes off the target. And that's the reason. I think that's exactly the same spot he hit in the previous leg. Really good for Ted Evetts. And
Fourth leg Ted to through first. Game on.
In that enthralling Group C, we had midway 4 games that went 4-0. Well, in the previous game, we saw a 4-0. This also a bit of a one-sided affair. Can't fathom the reason why it seems
100.
to be happening today.
I'm trying to figure that out myself. And maybe because we are at the end of week 12.
140.
You can almost taste Champions Week. It's so close. And the opportunity of being the winner this week and then maybe being a winner a week later, you can change everything.
96.
Financial rewards, confidence, building up to something that you would do at the end of the year or maybe into 2025.
41.
You've been sat in that chair yourself, Paul, a few weeks. I bet you're really excited for next week also.
Absolutely. Can't wait to see some people coming back. You see the confidence in the weekly winners when they come back. So when Darius is here and Andreas is here,
98.
when Tom Sykes is back, and I really can't wait to see Kai Gotthard and Romeo Gerbevats, because since we saw them last,
125.
their lives have changed.
Yeah, good point. 171, please.
$99.
You feel that's enough. Unless Rianne can put a real blockbuster ever set-up play.
140.
Yeah, I'd say
Gilbert
that's,
delivers.
that's pretty much a blockbuster.
Well, he'll start on the 19s because a treble here would leave his beloved double 16. But that 140 set-up play has given Rianne O'Sullivan a chance. It will be a first attempt
92.
at a double in this game.
Rihanna car 55.
Just a reminder, in her first game tonight, this was the problem. No
Game
such
show
problems
the
in this
fourth
one. She's
flag.
back
Rihanna
in this
O'Sullivan.
match.
That double 10 is getting a
Flag
real
Rianne deserves
battering
that.
in this game. 3 times it's been hit now.
Game on. $60.
Well, whatever you're doing tonight, and wherever you are watching the Modus Super Series, we thank you for your company. We know you always have a choice of what to watch. But don't forget that you can take us with you wherever you go. You don't have to miss a trick. You can be out walking the
57.
dog this time on the night here in Europe. Or if you're around the world, you might be with family for the weekend. If you're
7.
in Oceania, it's breakfast time. If not, getting very close to lunchtime. So let us know where you're watching from. We've had some people from North America tuning in from Thanksgiving last night. Hope you had a wonderful time.
Well, there's plenty of people
60.
watching as well on our YouTube channel. And being Australian, you might be able to help me here, but someone's saying Ted Evetts looks like a young Harold Bishop. Who's he? Help me.
45.
Your reaction there has made me a little bit nervous that I shouldn't have mentioned that.
Oh, my word. Who brings up Harold Bishop these days? He was married to Madge. Famous
100.
characters from Neighbours. Yeah, Harold Bishop was the...
Apparently he died and come back 20 years later.
Yeah,
or
apparently he
something.
fell off a cliff and he
60.
came back to life like Bobby Ewing did in Dallas.
Well, apparently he's on the stage right now and he's 3-1 up.
That's a little bit harsh, though. A young Harold Bishop.
Better than an old Harold Bishop.
Well, that's true. That's looking at the glass half full.
58.
Well,
I once heard somebody say that Ted looks like Colin Montgomery. I think that was even harsher.
100.
poor Ted.
Not poor Ted. Super Ted. Great cartoon, that, wasn't it? A teddy bear that came to life and turned into a superhero.
140.
There he is on the back of the shirt. It was a good set of play from Rianne O'Sullivan, which got her over the winning line the previous leg. This time it's come from
66.
Ted Evetts.
Ted car 86.
And add that to the bingo list because it's now 6 darts for Ted Evetts if he needs from 86. You watched that first game. Well, the real potential that Steve Reynolds was going to lose that match, which would have put Ted in a fantastic position. But it looks like he's focusing on his job.
78.
And that was for the match, but he will be back.
And he will return to put in the best winning numbers of the
83.
night
Ted car 8.
by some distance.
Yes, it's been a satisfactory performance from Ted Evetts. A game that he was a big favourite going into it.
No
However,
Real New Car 80.
another twist in the tail.
What is going on tonight?
60.
Oh, that looked good
8.
until the last millisecond.
I think she thought that was in, Paul. I don't anticipate any further problems from Ted. Good marker.
4. Real New Car 20.
Why are people finding it so hard to cross the line tonight? There's another double
Game shot
10.
on the 5th leg. Rihanna Sullivan.
That's the 4th consecutive one, and she can't believe she got that chance.
Yeah, just leave
6
double
leg
10, I'd
take
say to the
first.
players,
Game
Paul.
on.
I can't think of anyone missing it tonight. But the other doubles are proving a real issue.
Bless you.
57.
At one point in this game, we were saying that Evetts just needed to keep going to cross the line.
41.
And joining the party on 6 points was inevitable, but at this point, nothing is guaranteed. Or should I say, nothing is guaranteed.
$60.
Conditions out there, we were in the communal area out on the floor a little bit earlier tonight. It felt really comfortable.
Yeah.
That lovely
60.
neutral temperature where nothing is cold, nothing is warm. But sometimes when the pressure is on, your body reacts in a certain way. And it's different for everybody else because certain players like it when it's a bit
57.
chillier. Some people like it when it's hotter. And we saw from Steve West in game 2. He looked like someone who was either having a problem with the grip or if maybe he was a bit chilly.
140.
It's almost that these players are waiting for someone to put a really good performance. I thought that performance was going to come from Ted, but he is just floundering a little bit at the moment. He's even shown a little bit in his demeanour there.
95.
You can just see the lift of the lip there. He's not happy with the situation right now. He's on throw here, you remember. And when he turns round, he won't like what he's going to hear. This game, remember, Rihanna Sullivan lost the opening match of the night 4-3. And she's looking good to take this one to 3-3. And she would have the darts in the last.
105.
I can see why
Real
he
New
did
Car
that.
139.
That is quite smart. Well, there's the 9. If only you could take
49.
130 and 2.
Ted New Car 127.
Let's have the smile, Paul. There it is.
Just caught that in the corner of the camera there. But this would be a nice way to finish the match after multiple visits already to get the points. Doesn't get a shot at the bull, but Rianne could.
59. Real New Car 90.
Yes, it's a nervy ending to the match for Ted Evetts. And it'll be, I don't think that's the right decision. Under the
50.
circumstances, when your
68.
opponent's on a finish, 2020 bull should it be at least the minimum. Ted Evetts has an unexpected opportunity. It's only going to be the one dart, but it's a match dart. Takes his time, resets, refocuses.
36. Real New Car 40.
Missed the first start.
Yeah.
No,
Game shown
it's
on
not going to be
the
double
sixth
10
leg.
this
Reynolds
time.
Sullivan.
I really thought it was going to be 20 and double 10, but it's going all the way.
Yes, I'm with you there, Paul.
7th and final leg. Rihanna through first. Game on.
Well, literally half an hour ago, Rihanna O'Sullivan could have done a massive favour to Ted Evetts by beating Steve Reynolds in
85.
a really tight match where, to be fair, she was the better player in that game. Steve Reynolds got over the line in the end. Now Ted Evetts, it's roles reversed because Steve will be screaming and shouting in the players' area for a victory here for Rihanna. A match that Ted was dominating early doors,
100.
but it's far from comfortable right now.
Retrospect is a wonderful thing, isn't it? Because if
45.
O'Sullivan had won that first game of the night and would win this one as well, she would have the same points as Reynolds and Evetts, and would definitely be in the reckoning. Not to win the
100.
group, but to be in the top 3. If she wins this game by 4 legs to 3,
83.
she may be thinking, why on earth didn't I get the result in that first one?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the replication of the throw. And I just think Ted, he's got his old throw there of the stopping with every dart. We saw yesterday that rolling motion with
100.
darts 2 and 3. Be interesting to see, get his take on that if he does qualify tonight.
60.
Yeah, Ted's not clueless. He's not going to do that whole thing from that movie. You ever seen Clueless?
I don't, honestly, my film knowledge is absolutely abysmal.
Yeah, the late Brittany Murphy used to do this very famous thing in that movie, saying, rolling with
59.
the homies. It was a big thing 20-odd years ago. Anyway, he's rolling with the punches right now.
Well, he maybe got away with another one here, but that's a cracking last start there from
64.
Rian. It just
Ted
keeps her
Ricard,
involved.
142.
But Paul, you sense it's Ted Evetts to lose from here. He's taking his time. He understands the situation right now. He probably expects he's got 6 darts from here. Should go the 25 bullseye route. That leaves a steady ton.
62.
Leaves
Rian, your car,
that 50-50 finish of
164.
80. Rian is very much in the mix if she can do something. She's not out with this leg.
40. Ted
Not
Ricard,
enough.
80.
Well, Ted's already lost this game twice by not taking it out in previous legs. It's double 10, so surely it's this time. There you
Lead
go.
shot of the match, Ted
When you
Evetts.
need a banker, it is right there in the 4 o'clock position. Super Ted gets a superb 2 points on the board. 2 points that he needed. And we now know, because Evetts goes to 6 points with Reynolds and Pilgrim, that eliminates Rian O'Sullivan from getting to Saturday night on debut. She will have 2 games left to try and spoil everybody else's party. But when we come back, it's going to be Reynolds against Pilgrim, and the winner of that one is going to join Steve West on 8 points.
Well, if it's drama that you like, then maybe Group B is suiting you right down to the ground here at the Modus Super Series, because Ted Evetts has just played Rhiannon O'Sullivan, started beautifully. We were talking about a real potential blockbuster average, but it went right down to the wire. But for qualification for Ted Evetts, he got over the line in the end, and Rhiannon, has to say, she's played 2 games tonight and been very unlucky. Opened up against that man taking his darts out, Steve Reynolds. She was the better player in that game, but Steve found a way to win. And Darryl Pilgrim, it sounds great, doesn't it? Darryl Pilgrim 4, Steve West 0. But in reality, it was a very disappointing game. It's been a night where it's more about the drama, the tension, rather than the quality of the darts. But I guess when you've got that win under your belt that these 2 players have, Paul, maybe, just maybe, they relax and shows the darts that we expect from them.
140.
I'd like to think so. But when you look at the table, when you've got West on 8 points, Pilgrim, Reynolds and Evetts on 6.
100.
This is now a battle of 4 players vying for 3 spots. I'm not sure the pressure has gone down. I think it's gone up.
100.
Tell that to Darryl Pilgrim. 10 he get last night. Even in that disappointing performance against Steve West, it was the first time I didn't hit a 180, but
41.
very early in this game is telling me. I think all the players have given themselves a bit of a telling off in the players' area. And finally, we're seeing what we hoped we would see tonight.
131.
That's worked out pretty well.
Does he go for the bull, Paul?
Nah.
Conan would.
He's not going to go for the bull.
41. Darryl Newcar, 50.
He'll go for an 18 here. Oh, what? I hate being wrong.
42.
I just don't know in that moment. I know he's well ahead. I think sometimes you've got to stick to the textbook. And it's not because of my opinion. Maybe it just makes me old school. I don't know.
100. Darryl Newcar, 8.
Yeah, normally I would agree with you, but under the circumstances, maybe it's just a way of releasing the tension. But if he went on to lose the leg, he would be absolutely kicking himself.
Absolutely right.
Because that is 5 missed darts at a double now for Darryl.
And he missed 7 in his previous game, even though he did hit 4.
8.
So his ratio tonight is not great. He's thinking right now, I shouldn't have gone bull.
4. Stevie Newcar, 122.
Well, I think we all heard that. Wow, was his response there. And Steve, I'm telling you, is one of those players. He's just never in legs at times. That is unlucky. Yeah, hence the reason he thought one of them deserved
56.
to go in there.
Darryl Newcar,
Surely
4.
he's messed about too much now. 8 missed darts at a double in this leg.
Getting shot on the first
Finally,
leg, Darryl Pilgrim.
as he looks to the heavens and gets on the board, he leads 1-0.
Second leg,
It's
Stevie
very
first
easy
verse.
for us to
Game
sit
on.
here and say he shouldn't have gone for the bull. But the information that we have is that it wasn't just the bull that he missed. He missed 8s and 4s and 2s until he actually took that 19 darter
41.
out. Ultimately, the job is done. He's won the leg. As long as he's not psychologically damaged by all the misses at double, he can press on from here because there was nothing wrong with his scoring in that leg.
125.
Yeah, Steve Reynolds was a new one for me. Found something out about him tonight, though, Paul. He's got a dog that does magic tricks. He's got a Labracadabrador.
125.
Can anybody else taste tumbleweed? There seems to be something in the air.
Yeah, can't have been that impressed.
180.
That's what it's more impressive.
I do love that joke, though. It's a very Mark Webster joke, that.
45.
If Darryl's doubles were just like his scoring in this match, he'd be 3-0 up by now.
So good at this, isn't he?
140.
How does he transfer those skills of banging in this incredible amount of 180s to then kick-start his next phase of his career?
140.
I think
That'll
the
look
next
out
phase
56.
is mental. It's not technical. It's all about the stuff between the ears.
38.
And maybe
Steve
just
Car, 150.
believing in a bit more positivity when it comes to the end of legs.
Yeah, I don't know him well enough to know his mindset towards the game, but I say he ticks an awful lot of boxes. He's dominated
60.
this game.
That'll look out 18.
But this can be tricky with the double nine.
Game shot in the second leg, Darrell Pilgrim.
Honestly, that was smack bang in the middle.
Third leg, Darrell through
6
first.
legs on
Game
the spin tonight for Darrell Pilgrim. A 4-0 win over Steve West. Leading 2-0 here. And we're yet to see his brilliant best. But those two 180s have been the real
96.
highlight so far.
Yeah, just to give you some sort of indication as to what we're talking about. The highest average of the first 3 games tonight, 80.98.
140.
We were saying that Group B was brilliant, but Group C on Thursday, standard-wise, beat Group B.
I think I said that Group C is
140.
arguably been my favourite that I've been involved in. I think Group B has been one of the more disappointing. There's been flashes of brilliance from the Ted Evetts and the Darrell Pilgrims. But
100.
generally, I mean, some of the Group Bs that I've seen has been blistering. This has been far from it.
$95.
Reynolds has been thoroughly outgunned in the first 12 darts of each leg here.
81.
He is not getting
That'll
any chances at all.
170.
And Pilgrim can shut him out again.
$96.
Even his bad visits are much better now. Whereas earlier on it was 58 and 45. Now, his bad visits are
81.
96.
That'll 74.
Yeah, frustrating last start for Steve. He was in a decent position there to put some pressure on his 74. But that last start and the one just takes the pressure off a little bit here for Darrell.
Game shot in the third leg, Darrell Pilgrim.
Best finish of the match for Darrell there. A quality dart at tops.
Fourth leg, Steve to through first. Game on.
And make that 7 legs on the spin for Darrell Pilgrim tonight.
More than anything else, he just wanted a leg that was clean. Get to the double and hit it immediately. That's what we mean by a clean finish. No messing around.
83.
And it is 7 legs in a row. And crucially, in those 2 games, he's playing challengers who are trying to topple him.
81.
But if Pilgrim wins this match, he's going to be top of the table and everybody's going to be trying to catch him in the remaining fixtures.
Yep, to think we looked at the odds to see Steve West at 1-16.
45.
And we did talk about the fact that he's got a massive game coming up next with Ted Evetts. If he loses that one, who knows? This man was the value.
180.
He was 8-1 to win this group tonight before the dart was thrown.
Can I pay Darrell one of the strangest compliments I can pay him? This is one of the worst 99 averages I can remember.
99, wow, yeah, I totally get where you're coming from.
Because he's missed 10 darts at a double.
$94.
I mean, you're looking at 110, 115 if them doubles are going in.
Precisely. His first 9, his setup play, it has been really good.
100.
I think it definitely
Daniel
helps
Carr, 146.
when his opponent is constantly behind and he's got the room to breathe and the room to win. And win he
Game shot in the
does.
match, Darrell Pilgrim.
What a spurt at the end there from Pilgrim. Wins the last couple of legs in 27 darts. And we now have some quality. That performance from Pilgrim is his best of the group. and it equalises the best average of the group from Ted Evetts last night. And with 10 darts missed at a double, he still averaged nearly 102 and finished with that 146 on double 16. Reynolds will stay on 6 points. He goes to 4th, but Pilgrim has gone top ahead of West versus Evetts.
And welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where we've got a new leader in Group B. And with 2 wins out of 2 tonight, Darryl Pilgrim has overtaken that man in your picture, Steve West, who had a nightmare of an opening game. He'll want to put that right against the impressive Ted Evetts, but just a quick mention to that 101.90 average from Pilgrim. It's what we expect from him on that stage. He's had some incredible moments and a great win. He'd be very, very happy with the situation right now. But for Steve West, he had 4 wins out of 4 yesterday. A huge, huge favourite to win the group.
First leg, Ted to through first. Game on.
But we did offer up the potential situation that Steve West's 2 hardest games of the night were his opening 2 games. He lost that first one, and it was the manner, Paul, that he lost. It was I can't think of a worse performance I've ever seen from Steve West. Can he bounce back maybe 45 minutes later?
It's already better after 2 darts.
140.
I think that may just be the poorest performance that Steve will remember from himself. But knowing him as we do, that might be something he can turn into a
45.
positive, because he'll say, that's not happening again. So give me that dartboard and I'm going to throw through it. So I wouldn't
60.
want to be that treble 20 right now. But if you look at the fixtures for tonight, the worst case scenario for West is that when he plays Reynolds in game number 10, who is now in 4th,
95.
as long as he wins that game, he's going to be through. But if he wins this game, he's going to be through. If he beats Rian, he's going to be
81.
through. So it's 3 games on the chopping block. Get one of them, you're safe. And then you can just relax and then focus on Saturday. But the pressure mounts, doesn't it, as games go by?
Yeah, it does, Paul. I don't have 1% of doubt that he won't qualify.
96.
But how is that psychology and mentality going to be for him going into tomorrow night, where he hasn't posted a monstrous average this week, has he yet?
60.
Not yet.
Teddy Car 125.
Yeah, talking about one-sided games in their match. Yes, it was a 4-0 victory for Steve West.
105.
What he'd give
Teddy
that
Car
right now.
160.
And with Ted Evetts on that double 10, that players cannot miss tonight. You sense that 160 had to go.
Now, this is one of 2
96.
games last
Teddy
night
Car
where
20.
Steve averaged exactly the same. 87.13. Double 10 is missed.
No score.
And
Steve
missed
Car,
again.
64.
So treble 8 is calling Westie's name. Come hither.
Yeah, I just saw the reaction there from Ted Evetts. What have I done? Don't give this man an opportunity.
56.
However,
Teddy Car
he's still
20.
searching for his first leg tonight, remember. Been a funny all night.
Yeah, I promise you, he was going for the treble 8.
Getting shot on the first leg.
Evetts.
Ted Evetts.
Does get the lead.
Second leg, Steve to throw first. Game on.
Had a lovely tweet earlier this evening from teammate of Ted Evetts,
60.
his county teammate from Warwickshire, Nigel Hayden, former England international and participant at Lakeside in the past, the Undertaker, who is actually a butcher now, again, I've been
119.
reliably told by Ted. Heading down to Dorset this weekend to play against Scotty Mitchell and the clan.
131.
All the best to everybody from the Warwickshire team and the Dorset team. We don't have favourites here in Portsmouth. We support everybody. Isn't that right, Glenn?
If you say so, Paul.
Very constructive.
101.
Yeah, I was just wondering if any of the Warwickshire players wanted to come tonight, because these are still a few selected tickets to Steve West.
180.
Bangs in a 180. I'm sure that competitive spirit will be coming out of Steve West at the moment. He did not anticipate this start. But when things aren't going your way, your opponent, and things seem to be happening. This wasn't happening last night. Players were not playing well against West. It was comfortable. He might have to produce his best now. And that is unlucky.
105. Teddy Car,
6
101.
very well thrown darts in a row. Only one of them wasn't what he wanted. 82 left for Ted in 2.
93. Steve Car, 25.
Well, normal service. No,
17.
it will not.
Teddy Car, 8.
What is going on, Steve?
Yeah, I'm puzzled by 988. He's a 1-12 guy.
Game shot on the
Steve
second
is
leg,
2-0
Ted
down.
Evetts.
He's playing much better. But Evetts
Third leg, Ted
is
to throw
playing
first.
the
Game
best
on.
darts he's played tonight, right now.
Tight, tight. Very, very tight.
Let us speculate.
40.
Van Schie, Whitehead, Howson. Those three players we've just seen. So Evetts, West,
60.
and Pilgrim. Yeah, that's a fairly useful Saturday night, isn't it?
Well, we've had some mega Saturday nights. Quality, drama, absorbing
91.
contest, frantic pace, incredible moments. But I tell you what, them 6 players will be one of the best 6 players. In fact, I'm trying to rack my mind going back into Group A, B, and C now of is any of the big
28.
favourites gone out this week? You'd have to look to that Group C, I guess. You know, the Adam Lipscombs of this world.
Yeah, well, Lipscomb went out. Jared Cole went out. Neither have a weekly
78.
title. So if we look at the previous winners list from this week, which consists of Whitehead, Pilgrim,
140.
Jimmy Van Schie, West, they can all be there come Saturday night with the small matter of the champion of champions from seniors, Richie Howson, and a former world youth champion in Evetts. Pound for pound,
60.
with, I think it's 12 weekly titles between the 6 of them. That has got to be the best Saturday ever accumulated outside of Champions Week. It has to be.
Yeah, and whatever, more importantly, on an individual basis, I think the Steve West has now found his range. He's averaging in excess of 92 at the
38.
moment. And in a
Steve
good
McCall,
position
93.
to break the throw of Ted Evetts here and get this match back on throw.
53.
Very good, Steve. Neglected the 42 there. Staying away from that pesky bottom left corner. And now he can go back to his trusty tops. He hopes. But forget about that word hope. That's a
58.
bad mental message.
Steve McCall, 40.
Now he'll say, I will hit this. And he does hit
On the
that.
third leg, Steve West.
Yes, at 11:35 p.m. I didn't think I'd be
Fourth leg,
saying
Steve
the
to
first leg of the night
Game
to
on.
Steve West. But positive things are now happening for Steve. The worst is now behind him. And this is what we expected. This
125.
is what's associated with Steve West on that stage.
I don't mean this as a joke in any way, and I hope that no Spurs fans take this the wrong way. But at least Steve West has won something here. And he's won multiple
96.
times. And when you've won as many times as he has, that feeling will become quite addictive.
That's a bit nasty towards Tottenham.
108.
I'm a Newcastle fan. What have we won? We haven't won since the 60s.
The Fairs Cup, isn't it?
Yeah, 69. At least Spurs have won the FA Cup plenty of times since then. So I've got no
140.
license to say anything about football. I'm just trying to say that a Spurs fan can be very, very successful.
60.
Yeah, I'm sure there's many people watching. How can Steve West go from playing so bad to suddenly flick that switch? The 3 180s have been key to the success for Steve in this one. And he's looking very, very good.
Do you know if I had a wish
57.
that I could give Steve,
Steve McCall,
I'd put him in the
136.
influencer event this weekend, and his partner would be James Maddison.
96.
I bet that would be fun.
Yes, I'd have practiced if I'd have got Bernie Slavin, that's for sure.
Yeah, the key to success for West has always been
58.
heavy scoring
Steve
and
McCall,
tops.
40.
If they click, he wins. End
Getting
of
shown the
story.
fourth leg, Steve West.
It's no wonder he's really good friends with Robert Thornton because they've both got the same game
Fifth leg,
plan.
Ted to throw first. Game on.
This is more like it. 3 180s. The better average. He has warmed to the task tonight.
60.
Yeah, you don't often see him deep in thought. He's so free-flowing, so natural.
30.
Still fighting a bit with his game, but if you could see the stats we're looking at now, I think he'd be very happy the way he's bounced back in this game. I think the question now is, can Ted find that ceiling? We talked before a dart was thrown tonight that at times he looks $1 million, and at times he looks a bag of nails.
You sometimes look at dart players on stages across the world
96.
and you see how hard it is for people to accept what they are doing. It's easy when you're playing the best darts of your life. But when you're not, and you're having to scrap for things, you do wonder what kind
100.
of person would actually put themselves through this. And the answer is, a lot of these players, over the course of many years, they enjoy the fight, even
59.
when it's not particularly enjoyable.
Yeah, I think that's a very relevant point. And it's a game that can make you the happiest person. We talked about the highs and the lows of the game. And sometimes you've just got to remind yourself of, you know, why you play the game. And don't let it make you feel miserable. You know, if you lose, you know, you accept it, you move on. But it's very, very difficult when you know where you've been, how well you can play, and things are not going your way. It's just all part and parcel of the
84.
journey of being a dart player.
It's a game that can't be perfected. It's a game that can only be played. The words of
99.
Bagger Vance, played by Will Smith. So appropriate. It was said about the game of golf, but it is very, very apt for darts as well.
95. Ted Carr 130.
I thought it was that great philosopher, Dolly Parton. You'd have to be the Office fan to get that one. Big fan of Evetts if he hits the ball.
85. Steve Carr 137.
West will surely go for 57 tops. Well, he was dreaming of hitting
82.
two double tops when you missed the first one, and your opponent is better off than you. You will feel like the inevitable is just about to happen on double 16.
Biggest dart of the match.
29.
It just brushed off the flight,
Steve
didn't it? And
Carr
went
55.
right. It's one tops. And it's a lead for West. He's within one leg now of being through to Saturday again.
6 leg Steve to throw first. Game on.
He has a very good record in these weekly settings, not counting Champions Weeks or specials or anything like that.
78.
He's only ever missed one Saturday from 7 attempts.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, Paul, isn't it? He knows the process, the procedures of just coming here. And like I said,
140.
he's not at his blistering best. Even when they hit that double tops there, it was a shake of the head of like, you know, people just don't seem to want to beat me. Yes, it was his own downfall in his first game of the night.
180.
His fourth 180 was a big success of him coming out. He was 2-0 down in this game, remember?
And the tighter this game is, regardless of the result,
140.
the worse it is for Steve Reynolds, because he's got the worst leg difference of anybody who can still qualify.
45.
Ted Evetts' next game, Steve Reynolds' next game is playing each other. I think that could be for qualification.
180.
Unless Ted can find a way of winning this game still. Because after 9 darts against the throat, he's put on
138.
his
Ted Carr
best
41.
leg of the night.
Just the 6 180s in this game. That's all. What a transformation in standard. To stop West from getting match darts.
Game shot
Very,
of
very
6
well
leg,
done by
Evetts.
Super Ted. We go the distance. This is a very engaging game.
Seventh and final leg, Ted to throw first. Game on.
Yeah, the averages are very acceptable, but like I said, it's a very engaging game. Down to a last leg shoot, and so much importance for Ted Evetts this leg. For Steve, you still feel he's got them 2 games to come where you'd expect him to win. He'll fancy his chances against Reynolds and O'Sullivan. But for Ted, a victory over West right now. He's putting himself
41.
in a terrific performance. And the big 3 are in those qualifying positions. He's got a good lead already in this game. 1 treble a visit for Evetts could be enough.
57.
I just wonder if that 60 checkout that West left himself in the previous leg, was that the best chance he was going to get in this match? Was that the position where he could have finished Ted off? You could leave yourself as many low numbers as you can, but if your opponent keeps shutting the door, there's nothing you can do about it.
You know, almost a sigh of resignation there from Ted Evetts, from Steve West. Sorry, Ted Evetts hit that 140. Time on his side. He's an experienced player, is Ted, for such a young man. Should go down to the 19s. Just keep it simple. Easier said than done, sat here with the mic in your hand.
52.
Interesting. Really interesting. Because if he got a 20, 1, 2, 3 would have been bull at the end. Now,
140.
it's out the ring at the end if he gets the treble. I can see why he did that. West, credit for the 140. Does he get a look at it? We don't know.
99. Steve Wilcar, 87.
Match dart come and gone for Ted Evetts. Will he be back? It may be the bullseye for West. It is the bullseye. Oh, that's what he's all about. That is what Steve West is all about. For a large period of that game, once again, he was second best. Steve West qualifies for Saturday night, and he joins that list of players, which is going to be a fantastic event. As we look at the numbers, Steve was always round about that 93 average mark. A very professional performance, and Ted had his opportunity, had a match dart. He's got a big game coming up soon. He needs to clear their mind. But Steve West is our 4th qualifier. As we move on to the next game, it's a return of Ryan O'Sullivan against the player of the night so far, Darryl Pilgrim.
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series. The news from Portsmouth is that Steve West is back in Saturday night once again for the 7th time in his Modus Super Series career. He can be joined by Daryl Pilgrim in due course, and indeed by Ted Evetts and Steve Reynolds, but Rhiannon Sullivan can't qualify, but she's still got 2 games to go, and she can influence who makes their way through with Steve West. So this is how we stand. Jimmy Van Schie, the winner of Group A, has been through since Wednesday afternoon. Howson and Whitehead, 2 heavyweights from the southeast of England, have made their way there as well through Group C. West is now through, with the other 2 spots going to be contested with Evetts, Pilgrim and Reynolds over the final 5 matches of qualifying in Series 9. So here we go. This is what we've seen. Reynolds got off to a scratchy start, beating Rhiannon Sullivan by 4-3. She also lost 4-3 to Evetts. But since that point, the standard has gone up. And Pilgrim, who has not lost a leg so far tonight, showed the way for Evetts and West to up their standard, which is what we've just seen. Pilgrim now, with this game against Rhiannon Sullivan, can qualify if he wins this next match, Glenn.
Yeah, it's a great reading. And when you talk about his 4-0 victories, Paul, that was the result against Rhiannon Sullivan. And you've got to look at the fact that Rhiannon will be slightly deflated. 2 games she's played to date, 2 4-3 defeats. Games she potentially could have been sat on 4 points right now. But I'm liking Daryl Pilgrim right now. Look, don't always get it right, but I anticipate another big victory here because you'd have to feel that Rhiannon was just showing a little bit of fatigue round about this time last night. Hence the reason that Daryl really did a number on that one. So, there's a possibility he could play 3 games tonight and win all 3 without dropping a leg. Well, that's a little bit disrespectful to Rhiannon. So let's see how this one goes.
There's a possibility as well that over the next 2 matches, things could be pretty much said and done. Pilgrim wins, he goes through because he would make it to 10 points. But the next game between Evetts and Reynolds, if we get a wide margin for Evetts in that one, he'll be almost there, if not actually there. I don't think Pilgrim is in the kind of mood to be charitable to Rhiannon at this point. He wants to get through that tape and to look back at the people who aren't going to qualify and say, right, see you next time.
I mean, there's a bigger picture for Rhiannon as well. She's using the Modus Super Series, as good preparation for her Lakeside campaign. And if there's one thing I would say, it's incredible. That's 2 in this first leg here for Daryl. But for Rhiannon, she must be fairly happy the way she's played tonight.
46.
Much improved. Well, how can you hit 2 180s in a leg, then miss a single by that much? And still get a 12 dart leg. He's thrown 11 brilliant darts and 1 absolute horror of a show. Well, we see you, Daryl. You see us. And that was a brilliant leg, come what may.
I have a theory, Paul. And my theory of players hitting big numbers is that they're already
99.
focusing on the double 16, almost disrespecting the big number. No disrespect to the treble 20 from Rhiannon Sullivan. Absolutely beautiful.
All of a sudden, 180s wherever you look. Just a small matter of 6 in the previous game. We've already got 3 here. It's the middle of leg 2.
Yeah, and clear visually a big upturn in the pace of this game.
60.
I think that's one of the reasons why they'll enjoy playing each other. Well, what a night. Daryl Pilgrim's having 9 legs on the spin. And looking just as good.
92.
He's in the mood.
I wouldn't say that 170 checkout is out of the question, considering how good he's been on the treble 20 over the last few minutes.
Daryl 170.
Come on, put your reputation on that. Is this going in, Paul?
No. I'm going to say no. I'm disappointed with that because I wanted
83.
to be wrong.
So did I.
We have seen a 170 checkout today, haven't we?
Yes, Mr. McCarthy.
41. Dallaluka 87.
Maybe save that for the next leg. But I had a wonderful chat with him, Paul, as well. He saw the positives. This is positive. This is brilliant.
Being shown the second leg, Daniel Pilgrim.
Absolutely wonderful.
Third leg, Rianda through
It's
first.
the kind of
Game
performance that could possibly set records. Maybe not breaking his own high average record,
81.
but that is the level that Adam Lipscomb set a series record this week. We've seen records all over the place in week 12, even
59.
in Group C, where we had 5 consecutive 4-0 scorelines, which has never happened before in any group.
140.
Yeah, you know the happiest person was in relation to those 4-0s. And that's Paul Hinks.
125.
Isn't there a guy who plays for West Ham who sounds like 4-0? Pablo Fornals. He likes a 4-0.
140.
I think that's his name anyway. I don't like West Ham at the minute. They beat us last week. I don't like Palace this weekend. Isn't that right, Daryl?
Well, he's not liking this leg. We were
17.
talking about potential
Real
records.
140.
You can disregard that because O'Sullivan is playing quite beautiful right now.
100.
Brilliant leg.
Potential 13 data herself.
Absolutely brilliant. 10 legs in a row tonight for Daryl.
59.
I don't think he'll begrudge someone to
40.
take leg 11.
Yeah, it would have been a record of 16 legs on the spin.
Getting shown the third leg, Rhiannon O'Sullivan.
We'll put that one to bed. Rhiannon
Fourth
O'Sullivan.
leg, Darrell is through
I
first.
hope
Game
she
on.
sees the positives tonight because players will talk about preparation of going to a World Championships and, you know, some will, just as we admire another 180. He seems to interrupt me every time with these 180s, but Rhiannon made the decision to come to the Modus Super Series. Wonderful match practice. And after
41.
yesterday, I guess there was a potential of her being a little bit deflated going to Lakeside. I think she's demonstrated enough quality tonight that to say to herself, her game is in fine fettle.
100. $60. $93.
Once again, down to a finish after 9 darts. It's been a masterclass of scoring from Daryl Pilgrim.
60. Darrell 128.
His finishing has been absolutely perfect. Doesn't need to start in the 18's bed, but very sensibly laying it up. And he'll be back for
96.
his chance of a 13 darter.
Feels rather normal in this game, doesn't it? He is well
100.
over 30 180s for the week now.
32.
But this is turning into possibly one of the best performances of his week.
Getting shown the fourth leg.
And he does get the
Pilgrim.
13 darter.
Yeah,
Fifth leg, Rhiannon through first.
it was 101.90 average in his previous game. And he's backed that up with 103.71. But the stat that's standing out for me right now,
121.
if you're going to win a week with the type of players that are here, Paul, maybe that stat could be really crucial come tomorrow night.
I think the best thing about this performance is that.
180.
Forget about the fact that he's got 4 of those. Just disregard that if you can. Because the improvement from game
60.
1 and 2 to game 3, he's gone from 4 out of 11, 4 out of 14 to not missing at all.
140.
You can hit a stack of 180s if you want. But every dart player would exchange that for perfect doubling
81.
every time. because that's what wins legs.
Yeah, and I guess the next thing for him is how do you then combine that together? This wonderful scoring.
140.
I mean, it's just a joy. It's an absolute joy when Darryl Pilgrim is in full flow. He's good as anything that we've seen at the Modus Super Series. And another potential. He started with a 12-darter. Doesn't miss the big number this time. A sparkling performance from Darryl Pilgrim. Incredible. And Rhiannon O'Sullivan was nodding her head in the background there. Nothing she could do about it. And the picture-perfect Pilgrim is looking at $1 million tonight, only dropping the one leg. He just looks back there and just look at those numbers. First of all, 4 from 4 on the doubles, but 109.55. That's weekly winning form. Absolutely beautiful. Rhiannon O'Sullivan played her part in a cracking game. Pilgrim is being wonderful tonight. A huge game coming up for qualification. It's Ted Evetts against Steve Reynolds.
Another name is into Saturday night, and his name is Darryl Pilgrim. Not that it was really in any doubt, because of the way he's playing tonight. My word, after a very unusual first game against Steve West that he still won 4-0, he has put his foot to the floor, and over the course of the next couple of games, he's averaged somewhere in the region of 104 by hitting 7 maximums and hitting 8 doubles from 18 darts. But in that last game, 4 out of 4. And Evetts, who has a chance to qualify for Saturday himself in this game alone, this is his best chance of doing so because
First
he's
leg
still got
23
Pilgrim
first.
to play.
Game on.
So this is how it stands. Evetts wins this game by 4-0 or 4-1. He will be through with a game to spare. And that will seal up our Super 6
100.
for Saturday night in week 12.
Yeah, it was a strange old game between the pair of them yesterday. It was on the back of Ted Evetts playing beautifully in his opening game.
81.
Average 94. And Steve Reynolds average 86. It just proved that averages don't mean everything because it was Reynolds with a wonderful 137 finish. That got over the winning line. That will have hurt Ted. But he's got the opportunity.
180.
We were mourning a little bit after 3 games, but the lack of quality in this Group B. Darryl Pilgrim has single-handedly changed that. And Ted Evetts ain't doing too bad either, Paul.
60.
Yeah, we've gone from having very few big scores and some bad doubling to everything clicking at the same time for all the players. I mean, even Rihanna Sullivan, who's just put in her
105.
best performance of the group, and she could barely get a darted double against Pilgrim, who was putting in the second biggest average of the week.
Yeah, Rianne's been great tonight. It is looking very likely
100. Teddy McCarr 116.
she's not going to win a match in this Group B. But I think she'll be happy with the way things have gone tonight. Could have been better.
$56.
Nothing wrong with that. And on 60 points, I wonder if Ted is tempted by something Jared Cole did to finish Group C. He did a flatty dart and then hit top
40.
straight after
Teddy
to
O'Connor,
make sure he had
60.
nothing in the way of it.
Yeah, if you want to know how to throw a flatty dart, just hold your finger virtually on the point. It doesn't need to move. That's a great angle. Very tall player, so you can still see that.
40.
He won't like that third dart.
My assessment of Steve Reynolds is that he's not often outscored his players this week. It's been missed opportunity from players which he'll take his
100.
chance.
Teddy McCarr 20.
Now, Ted Evetts does like double 10. Has been kind to him tonight. But I would say you may need this, Ted, because Reynolds
Game shot on the first leg, Ted Evetts.
was lurking in that 120, but impressed with Evetts. I'm really impressed with
Second leg, Steve did the first.
where
Game
he's
on.
at right now. But Paul, I'm not looking forward to the question later of who you think Glenn's going to win it tomorrow night, because 6 wonderful players.
Well, if Evetts does go through with 3 games to spare, at least you've got 3 games to think about it.
140.
It is a bit of a nightmare question if that is to be the case. Because the quality on show on Saturday night
59.
and the fact that people could come here for £2 to watch 6 world-class players duke it out to stay in Portsmouth for another week
85.
at Champions Week at the end of the year, you will not find better value anywhere in the country. That's the QR code you need, not just to get tickets for here in Portsmouth, but you
81.
can also, via that code, look at tickets for senior events, for exhibitions, and for future weeks going into 2025.
Yeah, with Warwickshire County less than an hour away, Paul. If Ted Evetts does qualify, be nice to see him get some support.
Yeah, I think if Ted is through, it would be very good of some of the Warwickshire team to
180.
get their rear ends down to Portsmouth, especially Nigel Hayden.
Well, I've just seen the numbers of tickets for tomorrow, so there's a healthy crowd coming.
45.
So get yourself there. It might be good enough just to see the madness of Jimmy Van Skee's fans.
While we've got time, and before Pilgrim plays again against Evetts in Game 9, he's got a chance of another record
56.
tonight. Because Aidan Kirk, Luke Littler, and Nico Springer, very recently, they've conceded 3 legs in a Group B day. That's an equal record for those 3 gentlemen.
81.
Pilgrim tonight has
Federer
conceded
125.
1. He can afford to concede 1 more to create another record for himself. As Ted goes for Hollywood. What a lie. This should go in. Oh, boy.
100. Steve Carr 95.
Oh boy, and Steve may start in a bullseye. It would have given him, you feel, at least a dart to the bull for the leg. A leg he needs to get back into this match.
11.
I hate to say the obvious, but it looks to me like Steve Reynolds is flagging. It's been a long week. He's playing in his 22nd game of the week. Evetts has got to pounce all over this because he's the fresher and the younger of the 2.
17. Steve Carr 84.
Even when you're tired, you've got to find a way to the bullseye here, minimum. So it's 79 on the recovery effort. He's going to get a dart at double 11.
73.
He was hitting shots like that earlier in the week.
Yeah, he certainly was. He's quirky, he's awkward. But he does like these types of games. Ted needs to put this leg to bed.
You heard him, Ted. To bed.
No score. Steve Carr 11.
And this is right up Steve's street, these types of matches, you know. Yeah, the eyebrows raised. The big number first. I'm telling you, that big number does shrink when you're going for it.
Game shot on the second leg.
It's the
Steve
type
Reynolds.
of legs that Steve has won this week. That is not for the first time.
Third leg Ted to through first. Game on.
And it's not Steve's fault that Ted has missed his opportunities, but 1 from 9 on the doubles for Ted Evetts. That needs to change because a 2-0 lead, and based on what Paul alluded to at the beginning, a
58.
4-0 or a 4-1 win in this game for Ted, would have saw him be the final player through. And when this man gets a little bit of momentum, this smells like the game that these two had yesterday.
Speaking of smells,
Sorry, I apologise. It won't happen again.
I wasn't going to go down that route.
60.
The look that Evetts is giving this situation right now, it's as if he's put some perfect Yorkshire puddings in a hot oven. And he said, right, I'll see you in 20, 25 minutes.
55.
And then he realises that about 10 minutes in, somebody's gone and opened the door. And they've all gone flat. And that makes any avid cook very angry because you can't recover them.
99.
However, he does have a chance to recover in this match. So at least that's something.
100 grams of flour, 2 eggs, pinch of salt,
96.
200 ml of milk, and you've got the best Yorkshire puddings. Copyright Glenn Durrant, glendurrantdarts.com.
I love how some people always say they make the best Yorkshire puddings. There's such a league table for this one ingredient or this one thing in the world. It's amazing. I've never made any. And I'm such an avid cook. I've never made one. Because I've always been with people who say, I make the best ones.
104.
I bet you Evetts makes some good ones.
He certainly does. When he set that 180 to set up this 104, it looks like he's playing with a little bit of anger. Bullseye's not the worst dart here. He tried to bash his way through to that treble 18.
In that spot, I am
96.
baffled why you wouldn't go
Steve McCarr,
60 double
75.
13.
Yeah, another good shout. But we've talked about split-second decisions. We said Reynolds likes this type of match. A dart at tops for 2-1.
55.
I don't know about you,
Ted
Paul, but I
Yorker,
fancied
8.
that.
Yeah, I did too. I thought Ted was about to pay the toll. He's had an up and down affair with double 4.
4. Steve McCarr 20.
This is not good for potential progression. Super Ted has had some woes in making Saturdays prior to this.
Game
And
shot
he's
on the third leg,
behind.
Steve Reynolds.
And he's lost his throw as well.
Fourth leg, Steve to throw first. Game on.
He's there at the minute. But with Reynolds leading this game, he is not that far behind.
100.
Well, he didn't even look that fussed about hitting that 180 there. That was a strange reaction. Or was that one of, where have you been?
I think so, Paul. I think it's the latter. And I tell you what, Ted Evetts is in turmoil right now.
137.
I think he's played well enough to qualify from this group. But Steve Reynolds is that stereotypical. You can see the frustration there. But if it gets tight, that's when you really fancy Reynolds to win. I mean, Ted should have been 2-0 flying in this match. And it's no coincidence, Paul, that Reynolds gets embroiled and involved in these games and often comes out on top. These are difficult moments here for Ted.
95.
If you're not that experienced and you're starting to feel the tension, the first thing that you tend to forget to do is breathe. One of the bits of advice that
41.
people do ask for is, how do I handle pressure? How do I handle nerves? It's a long conversation sometimes, but you don't eliminate nerves. That's one thing. You work with them. And breathing is the best way to handle that.
Well,
Breathing in and out is something you have to do, and you've got to do it in a measured way. It's got to be deliberate.
I don't know if you've read the Michael Johnson philosophy on that, but it's pretty much word for word what you've just said there, Paul. The best players are the players who accept the nerves and they manage and channel. The worst players to deal with it are people who try to ignore that nerves are there.
27.
Both players are nervous.
Set your car 170.
The winner might be the one who accepts it and deals with it. That's the philosophy of Michael Johnson.
$45.
Oh, no.
Steve Lucar, 153.
He wanted more than that. Ted is a very mild-mannered guy, but right now he is boiling up.
$41. Ted Lucar, 125.
He's had one crack at this. If he gets the bullseye with the first start, he'll fancy it again. And that puts pay to that. I can get behind this. 57 leaves tops.
47. Steve Lucar, 112.
Ted looks tired.
He looks angry.
Again, I'm not sure with the lie of that dart whether the 60 was the right play. He did have another option. In fact, he had two.
But his last dart has put all the pressure on this 78. What a marker for bullseye.
Game shot on the fourth leg.
What a finish after that marker. He is been through it tonight as Ted Evetts.
Fifth leg, Ted to throw first.
And to check out, Paul, and that's 75. What a night. What a night. Crazy night.
So unpredictable. That is a tremendous bullseye. It may just be the one dart that he can cling to say to himself, I can still get out of this situation. However, we now know that at 2-2, he's not going to qualify
100
via this game. He's going to need to do it in a game with Pilgrim. Whatever happens in that game, he can go through.
140.
But if it doesn't go to plan, Reynolds plays West in game 10. And if he then has a possibility of getting through via Steve West,
60.
We are going to the wire.
Yeah, Steve West already qualified. Pilgrim already qualified. I think for Pilgrim, he may want to go through the card tonight. Maybe only losing one leg or two.
43.
And for Ted Evetts, you don't want to rely on others as well. I think he'll be chuffed to pieces to get the 2-2 here, but I think it's a game he should be winning.
140.
Reynolds is scrapping. Not for the first time. I've said that this week.
Yeah, Reynolds right now to Evetts is like the first ant at a picnic. He's pesky. And he wants to get rid of him.
96.
He's going to use the bullseye again as a first target on that 82. Watch out, though.
66.
Oh, no. 3
Ted
trebles.
Wilcar, 82.
But 2 of them he didn't want.
He'll start in the bullseye. That'll do nicely for the big 17. And to regain the lead and go 1 away.
62. Steve Wilcar, 135.
It was a 1-3-7 finish from this man against Ted Evetts yesterday. It's not to be the 1-3-5.
Sometimes one double just keeps coming back and back and back to give you
95.
the chances that
Ted
you
Wilcar,
want.
20.
And double 10 keeps cropping up tonight. Is it going to give Ted the lead back? Not this time. And neither will double 5.
No score.
Oh,
Steve Wilcar,
no.
40.
This is going to sting if Reynolds hits this. It's for a break of throw. And it's double 10 for him. And he can't find it.
Nobody
20.
wants it.
Ted Wilcar, 20.
I'll tell you what, Ted Evetts, he thought that his opportunity this leg had gone. He was fuming at the back of the
Being shown
hockey.
the fifth leg, Ted Evetts.
Yeah, a puff out with the cheeks tell you exactly how Ted Evetts is feeling right
Six-leg
now.
Steve to throw first. Game on.
I said a couple of minutes ago, this type of match, you would fancy Steve Reynolds when you're involved in that real dogfight. I say the Rays eyebrows will tell you everything when Steve is not happy with his game.
85.
Ted 1 away for victory here. It's not done and dusted at this point, but it makes him a heavy favourite to be our final qualifier for Saturday night.
96.
And Reynolds is going to need a monumental swing if he loses this game. And just a reminder as well, as far as league position is concerned,
100.
in Group B, Position 1 and Position 3 will go into the same group on Saturday night. Position 2 will go the other way.
Well, I looked at the in-play table and straight away thought Jimmy Van Skee versus Steve West.
137.
151? Hashtag.
$100.
Teens might have to come into play here at some point. And he starts there. Fascinating. Well, I've got to say, I've never seen that before. I can understand now why he did it, because he was trying to use the 25 at the end to get there. But 18's first after the treble. That really has got me thinking.
83.
Well, the only person who was with Ted there was our spotter in our ears then. He knew exactly the mass. And like I said, I'm pretty old school when it comes to finishes, and I'm continuing to learn. That was a new one for me.
I like the philosophy, though, of
58. Steve
needing the
Wilcar,
25 and bull
133.
to leave a finish with dart 3. It's always giving yourself a chance to leave a finish. It's really smart, and it is the way that young players count now, and everybody should subscribe to it.
Big 18. To
93.
leave tops.
Ted Wilcar, 120.
It's a chance where Ted will have practiced this 1,000 times. But under these circumstances, how's he going to deal with a perfect marker for the treble? And tops for the match. What a finish. And you can see the relief there from Ted Evetts in the end. It's a kind of match that Steve Reynolds really, really enjoys. So fair play to Ted Evetts. There was a moment in that match where he hit a big 25, followed by the bullseye. And Reynolds, big smiles on his face, because that's the type of guy that he is. A lot of missed opportunities there. The doubles don't have a good read in there. The big highlight was the 2 points for Ted Evetts, the 120 finish. He is on the cusp of qualification as we move on to the next game. It's Steve West against Rhian O'Sullivan.
Welcome back to the Live Lounge in Portsmouth, which won't be this quiet on Saturday night. I can promise you that. I can also promise you that Steve West is going to be here. He's still got 2 games left, but he, by winning his last game by 4-3 against Ted Evetts, he has done his job in getting to 10 points and sufficiently figuring out how to get to yet another finals night in a week 12, because he's done that before and he's won a week 12 before. There aren't many things he hasn't done
Steve
before.
To throw first. Game on.
Pretty much the only thing he's not doing this weekend is playing county darts, because it is county weekend, so everybody who's playing this weekend Good luck. Safe travels, everybody. And a bit of a shout out now for Aaron Beanie. Good friend of the show, who is playing for Middlesex this weekend.
85.
And they've got a terrible team. Beanie, Crabtree, Martin Lukman, the finalist at the Grand Slam. And they're off to Devon.
100.
So all the best to Middlesex and to everybody else involved.
Yeah, one more county story as well. Carl Wilkinson has just won on the Lakeside stage tonight. A big win as well over Jacob Taylor. We're a big fan of here at the Modus Super Series. And tomorrow he's off to Cornwall to play county. Preparation.
100.
Do you want me to sit here and say good luck, or do you want me to be honest?
We'll say good luck. He's a big lad.
96.
Yeah, good point. But you shouldn't be going to Cornwall.
I suppose when you're captain of the Yorkshire, he probably feels obliged and he needs to
45.
do that. But yeah, if anything, that's the time when you go for a walk, you rest up. Travelling to and from there, I'm not too sure. But
100.
big win. Many, many congratulations, Carl.
Absolutely right.
We're big fans of your game here at the Super Series.
Yeah, well done. Some other
100.
parties winning tonight as well, including
Steve
Scott
Car,
Walters,
80.
who won on the stage, and Francois Schwein. Westy's been to Lakeside a few times. He's got his picture on the wall.
18. Rhiannon Car, 156.
I won't say what Jim Williams did to mine, but Rhiannon O'Sullivan was looking good there for a 156. 81 points left.
81. Supercar 62.
Interesting. Double top.
Game shown
I could have sworn he was going to go for treble 14 on 62, but West knows best.
Second leg Rhiannon through first. Game on.
Yes, his highest average yesterday in that 4 out of 4 wins was 87.13. He started
28.
with a very poor average in his first game, but he did back that up with a win that secured qualification with a 93.57. But I stand by with the fact that
140.
he would like to go into tomorrow night with just a reminder to himself and the others. Doesn't look 100% happy there, does he?
55.
I don't know about this, because West is through and he's fairly crafty. If he was to stick in a 110 average right now, we'd be talking, oh, Steve's ready for this. But if he just keeps moseying along at an 85 to 88 standard, and we think, well, he hasn't been his best
64.
this week, and Jimmy's played better, and Darrell's played better, and Conan's been the fighter, and Howson won the group in Group C,
95.
he'll think, perfect plan executed. Nobody's talking about Mr. 5-time weekly champion, but we know how you operate, Steve.
81. Supercar 86.
Yeah, I'm struggling to pick a winner tomorrow. The problem when you're winning Group A is that you almost forget about Jimmy Van Skeet.
46.
When he walks through that door at about 5 o'clock tomorrow, or should I say later on,
100.
in about
Supercar
16 and a half
40.
hours' time, we'll know exactly when Jimmy's in the building.
Game shown in the second
Steve
leg,
West
Steve
with a
West.
13 darter goes 2-0 up. Maybe he is going to put in a performance after all.
Yeah.
$57.
This is going to be the last game that Rhiannon plays. She has caused trouble for players. I know she hasn't got a win yet.
Oh, she's been a lot better today.
43.
And you fancy her chances in that section of her Lakeside draw.
I would be flabbergasted if she doesn't make the semi-finals. Let's put it that way.
57.
I don't know if she's a big practice or whatever. You can just see her sort of flexing her shoulders there. It's really important not to over-practice before she plays her first game.
83.
She's got all the match practice in the bank in this Group B campaign.
$57.
I think when you're about to play set format as well, This is very close to
19.
the ideal practice that you could do. Short bursts, which could involve 4, 5, 6 or 7 legs. And it actually
140.
promotes better endurance for set play. I don't know if you've ever heard of continuous training when it comes to physical activity, Glenn, but it's about doing something a bit like running 400 meters,
100.
walking 400 meters, running 400, walking 400. What you do is you teach your heart and lungs to recover better
85.
and quicker
Supercar 90.
so that you can go again faster. And that is exactly what this is.
Yes, I don't like the fact you're looking at my belly there when you're asking if I knew about continuous training. Come on,
66.
Mr. Hanks.
Rihanna car 131.
The ledge.
$75. Supercar 24.
And West on 12s for 3-0.
Game shot on
He
the third
is a
leg,
lot
Steve West.
warmer than he was earlier on. When he started tonight, he could
4
barely
point
hit
round to
anything.
first. Game on.
But over the course of the last couple of matches, things are looking a lot more rosy.
45.
Just feeling his hip there. The greatest player of them all, Phil Taylor. This year got a new hip, but maybe just did a little bit too much
93.
afterwards. He started doing the gardening, doing just maybe too soon, and that put paid to any return to darting competition there.
60.
When you've been through that operation that Steve's been, he's putting a lot of pressure on that leg. That I wonder if he's just feeling it there, not feeling 100% in himself, Paul.
135.
When he went for that operation, the only thing that we all wanted for him was for him to have no pain for the rest of his life.
35.
The thing is, the scar on his leg is about the size of the San Andreas fault. He was essentially cut in half so that that could be fixed. I
59.
can't even imagine what he's been through with the pain, the discomfort, and more than anything, knowing Steve as we do,
36.
the sitting still.
He's probably wishing there was a ruling now he's qualified that it can get back to his accommodation. He's just going through the mill right now. It's looking like a comfortable victory
43.
here.
When you've got an injury and you are having to be patient through recovery,
45.
it is a mental battle as well as a physical one.
6 starts and 171. Travel 17 will be the shot.
97.
Yeah, this has been tidy. I don't think Rianne's going to get a dart at a double in this
100.
match.
Supercar 74.
For a routine victory, the already qualified Steve West.
Treble 11. The right thing to do. And he's left double 10 this time via the treble
54.
14.
Well,
He's showing a little bit of game flexibility here. So it's 10s
81. Supercar 20.
to get to 12 points and to be top of the table.
$15.
He hasn't quite won the game just yet.
99.
Yes, come on, Riyadh. Put a flake in it. 2 tops. Old school.
27. Supercar 5.
The double 2 route, but only just.
1.
That is a few match starts missed now. At 10s and 5s and 2s.
Yeah, just lacking that intensity, which I think is really part of the game.
No score. Supercar 4.
I just wonder if that's her last start here at the Modus Super Series in this Group B campaign before she heads off to Lakeside. And it certainly is,
Game
because
shot on
Steve
that,
West
Steve
with a
West.
routine 4-0 victory. It's smiles all round. It's been an absolute pleasure to have Rianne O'Sullivan here. And everyone at the Modus Super Series wishes her all the best for a campaign at Lakeside this week. And for Steve West, it was pretty straightforward. He was averaging a lot higher than that a few missed starts at the end of the double sort of reduced that, but he's been comfortable. He's qualified, and we will see Steve West one more time in our final game. Still things to play for, and Ted Evetts has a big opportunity up next against Darryl Pilgrim for his qualification.
It may just be time to book our last player into our Saturday night showcase. Ted Evetts has still got work to do because he couldn't get the job done against Reynolds in Game 7. He still won the game, but he had to win by 4-0 or 4-1 to guarantee his spot in that match. The scenario here is he must win 2 legs against the rampant Darryl Pilgrim to find his way through to the Saturday night showcase that I've mentioned. That will mean that Steve Reynolds against West in Game 10 can do absolutely nothing to catch Evetts. And it's fair to say, Glenn, he wants to get this done without any doubt. He doesn't want to be sweating during Game 10.
Yeah, he doesn't fear Darryl Pilgrim. They've played each other 3 times on the Challenge Tour, and very recently a semi-final of a Challenge Tour. It was a banging game between the pair of them yesterday. It was really enjoyable. It was Game 2 of the session, with Ted Evetts winning that match 4-3, averaging 99 in defeat, Darrell Pilgrim averaging 95. It was a real beauty. It was interesting speaking with
140.
Yeah, it was really interesting speaking with Richie Housen earlier when they had the scenario at the end similar to this
82.
where a player thought he only needed a certain amount of legs. And we've worked out the permutations that Ted only needs 2 legs here. But I think he'll go into this game thinking he needs to win
42.
for qualification. I'm not so sure he's certain of exactly what the permutations are. And that might be a good thing. I've played in a Grand Slam where I've needed a certain amount of legs for qualification. It's tougher. I sort of come off and said to my family, don't tell me again I ever need that. Just let me play the game. And I feel that's what Ted will do.
I'm with you. I think even though it's inaccurate, the thought that he needs to win the game is a healthy one because he can just play like he usually does. Because every dart player
28.
wants to win every game they play.
Well, he hasn't started great in this one. But to be fair, neither has Pilgrim. Just took his time there with this. Obviously, when you see the 300, you know a maximum would leave the Shanghai.
100.
Pilgrim's got history in his sights. If he only lets one leg go in this match, not only
85.
will Ted be on a tightrope, but Darrell will set that record of conceding the fewest legs in a Group B night ever. And it would be only 2 legs. You put that into perspective, if that happens,
40.
his nightly score would be
Darrell 106.
16-2.
Yeah, it's been a night that you dream of, hasn't it? But the most important stat was just qualifying for Saturday night. As good as
74.
Darrell Pilgrim has been at the Modus Super Series,
160.
winning a series is very much in his capabilities. And so is this 160 for Evetts.
Double car 32.
The doubling for Evetts has been sketchy at some points.
Game shot on the first
But
leg.
Pilgrim's
Pilgrim.
doubling. My word, has it been impressive over the last couple of hours.
Second leg, Ted to through first. Game on.
I still think he's caught Darrell at the best time here, Ted. Darrell knows he's through. Doesn't have that intensity. You can see him just looking around at the moment.
100.
And Ted on throw here. 15 darter should be the desired target. I said he was looking for fatigue a second there. And where that first dart was sat, you just knew that was going to happen.
180.
It's an amazing part of the ammunition that he has.
I think he's going to need that on Saturday night. He may just need a few extra chances
100.
if he's to get another Saturday night victory. He's been on the stage with you, Glenn, getting the trophy. But if he was to get his hands on that trophy again,
125.
it would be 4 weekly titles in the Modus Super Series. One of them was in Southampton, which actually led to the end of Series 1. Then there's been
57.
another couple. So it's Series 1, Series 3, Series 5, prospectively Series 9. That would put him on a par of weekly titles in the
100.
Modus Super Series with Neil Duff. That is up there.
Well, it sounded pretty routine for Evetts. Every time he's played Darrell Pilgrim, whether it's at the Challenge 2 at the Modus Super Series, it's been a really tight game between the pair of them.
60.
I said that
Darrell
Ted Evetts
Khan,
won't
96.
fear. Therefore, getting 2 legs in this match should have been pretty straightforward. But I think in pretty short time, he could be 2-0 down here because double 8's needed for Pilgrim. His doubles have been
88.
great. But he will be back, and Evetts way back on 184 on throw.
That is the first double that Darrell has missed in quite some time. He's actually
64.
gone 6
Darrell
out of
Carr,
6 until that moment. Well,
Game shot on the second leg. Darrell Pilgrim.
7 out of 8 isn't bad.
Third leg, Darrell to through first. Game on.
When his game clicks, he is very special. But that's never been in question. It's the next level stuff. If his next level game after the A grade stuff is somewhere in the region of 93, 94, you've got a Tour Pro for a decade.
140.
But the problem is, every now and again, he'll just throw too many bad clumps of stuff. Here, he might get away with it.
134.
That 79 average in the first game against West, he got away with it. On the Pro Tour, you would not. On the Challenge Tour, you probably wouldn't either.
140.
Yeah, both players will be off to cue skill. I think they've got the credentials, the fundamentals to be a professional player, but that's just the next thing. And when you're up against the likes of Littler and Co, banging 115 averaging against you, how do you respond?
$60.
Well, you could say that the likes of Littler coming through and Białowski coming through, because he's going to the tour for the next couple of years.
96.
It's essentially Ted Evetts' generation's fault, because they're the ones who showed that you can get to the World Youth Final and get to European Tour quarterfinals and things like that.
93.
Ted was within one leg of making a European Tour semi-final at the expense of Michael van Gerwen once. Pilgrim needs the bull.
61. Tedukar, 68.
Well, I'll tell you what, millimetres, and how many times do I harp on about this type of finish? It's just going to be the one darter double, but it's massive. It's huge.
52. Dalilukar, 25.
Things are getting decidedly awkward in the final two matches for Ted Evetts. He's 3-0 down.
Darryl Pilgrim.
And Darryl is staring history in Group B in the face.
Ted to throw first. Game on.
I guess the big winner here is Steve Reynolds, because Ted Evetts will need a favour from Steve West, and Steve is not at his brilliant best.
134.
It's the one final twist in this wonderful week of Modus Super Series darts. Week 12, Champions Week around the corner. Is there one final twist?
And if Evetts is to lose this game by the heaviest margin, Reynolds will still have to beat West by his own specified margin, which we'll get to at
47.
the end of this match, because we will know what it should be. I'm not seeing an ounce
100.
of sympathy from Pilgrim right here.
No, and that's what the integrity of this competition's all about. They're all making friends and relationships, and you get to know someone. But when they get on their rocky, you've got to be mean, moody, and magnificent.
84.
Yeah, that was a bit wide, wasn't it, Darryl? Dickie Bird would put two arms out.
40.
Next over, please.
Big chancey for Evetts. Even just getting a leg on the board, it makes it more difficult for Reynolds to qualify.
You're not wrong.
58.
How many opportunities do you want, Super Ted? Because you know what this man's like for 180. You can just ping him from absolutely anywhere.
98.
There's one thing we haven't mentioned so far. It's that if Pilgrim wins this game, he goes to 12 points, level with West. He will go top of the table. But then if West beats Reynolds, it will be Steve
96.
who wins the group.
164.
And when you think the runner-up in this group will be facing Jimmy Van Ski in the round robin.
45.
Maybe there's a
Second car,
slight
82.
importance of finishing top. I don't know. I think all 6 will be too good tomorrow, but a big chance here for Evetts. Big 17. Tops.
Game show the
That
fourth leg.
is
Ted Evetts.
big. He is 1 leg away from qualification now, but
Fifth
just
leg
getting that
penalty for
leg
first,
on the
game
board,
on.
it just makes that task of Steve Reynolds against Steve West that little bit more difficult.
140.
And Reynolds has not played great tonight. He's averaged sub 80 twice. He lost 4-0 to Pilgrim, averaging 85. That was a scoring average. He didn't get a dot at a double. So the signs aren't great.
99.
But Evetts will take it out of his hands if he can break Pilgrim here. This is the last chance for Pilgrim to set that record of the least legs
100.
conceded by a player in a Group B day. Or should I say night? As time goes by, people are trying to eat into Luke Littler's records. This is one of them.
140.
Admittedly, one that he shares with Aidan Kirk and Nico Springer.
Oh, that's begging for more. Look at even the Elvis lip as well to go.
180.
Make that 180 180s of the week. And I think it's only right it goes to Daryl Pilgrim.
Yeah, it's the right person to get it, and it sets him up for history.
58.
Another little
Down
slice
to 81.
of the Super Series record book is his if he finds 66 more.
Well, he won't do it with these 3 darts. Last time on this, he went for treble 9 to leave double 18.
27.
But he's back with a 2-darter. Nothing Ted can do. It's hope over expectation from 204. Just not enough from Ted in this game. Yeah, I think that pretty much tells you everything about this performance.
96. Down
Big
to
chance for
54.
Pilgrim to create another record here at the Super Series.
Double top. And the
Game show in the
record
match,
is
Pilgrim.
his. The fewest legs conceded in an evening in Group B at the Modus Super Series. That now belongs to Daryl Pilgrim alongside an invitation to Saturday night in Week 12. He gets them both. And now he takes the top spot in the table. It might be his for good. If Reynolds beats West, we will work out the permutations for Ted. When we come back, we will tell you what Reynolds needs to do to squeeze his way through to Saturday night.
Down to the wire at the Modus Super Series in this Group B Week 12 campaign. Just at the back of the hook here is Steve Reynolds, who has got an opportunity to be the final player through to Saturday night. However, it's smiles all around right now, but it's still a very tall order. It's still a big outside chance because Steve Reynolds needs to beat Steve West by 4-0 to qualify for Saturday night. Or to put it more simpler, if Steve West gets a leg,
Steve Reynolds to throw
and it's
first.
Ted
Game
Evetts,
on.
that will be the final player. So it'll be a nervy few moments here for Ted Evetts, but if you were in his position, you would fully anticipate and expect Steve West to get a leg.
Yeah, absolutely. The only shred of hope
75.
that someone like Reynolds will have is that maybe he can save his best for his last game of the Monday to Friday stuff. This is game 23 of his
140.
debut week. And he has witnessed West lose 4-0 tonight to Pilgrim in a fairly scrappy game. But he's going to need quality because West has improved since then.
Yeah, it's not nice when you're, looking for a favour from another player. It's something similar to Grand Slams. The only
140.
parallel I can sort of put my mind to. But again, I'd be still feeling very comfortable if I was in the position of Ted Evetts right now.
45.
But it's been in a magnificent series again here at the Modus here in Portsmouth, and are we about to see one last twist? But the way that West has started this match, he's on a potential 11 dart, which is music to the ears of Ted Evetts.
And to his as well, because he wants to win this match to win the group. I think Steve would like to
85.
dodge Jimmy
Steve
Van
Luca,
Schie in the
84.
groups, if I'm honest. And he can only do that if he wins this game. I believe that has missed left by nearly 1.5 inches. Because he's not the kind of guy to go for
36.
double 14.
Steve Luca, 156.
Almost out of bounds.
Well, if it was out of bounds on the golf course, he knows because he plays golf, he'd have to go back to the
100.
tee.
Steve Luca,
So it's probably a
48.
good thing he doesn't have to go back to 501. He has to go to tops.
38.
Penny
Steve
for your
Luca,
thoughts.
56.
Ted Evetts. Because Reynolds on throw. Needs tops for the opening leg.
Getting shot in the first leg, Steve Reynolds.
One more twist of the tail.
Second leg, Steve West to throw first. Game on.
I hope Ted is sitting down right now because if he's not, he'll be pacing around.
93.
These situations come up an awful lot on Fridays.
Yeah, just the 10 games, of course.
60.
It does create some magnificent... We really do have the abacus out at most points trying to work out things. The scoring
180.
of Steve West, no such problems. But I tell you what, you talked about Reynolds saving his best till last. Well,
140.
he's finding the treble 20 himself.
He's got 193 here, so 25 doesn't get him out of jail.
54.
But he has got a buffer, so no big dramas. Would you like to hear a little bit of a tale about Steve West? If and when he
125.
gets a first leg that would put Steve Reynolds out. It's about footwear.
98.
I'm trying to think. I've won myself to match it, but I can't.
Well, Reynolds has got to get himself to 76 or somewhere in that vicinity.
58.
He hasn't quite done that.
76.
But this is another chance for West. Doesn't get a shot at double 10, so Reynolds can double the lead
36.
here. This
Steve
kind of
Luca,
thing this week has
118.
been the best part of his game. He needs it now more than ever.
However, he needed a treble if he was
58.
going to do that
Steve
combination
40.
finish, and Steve West, who fluffed his lines with a double in the last leg.
Game shot on the second
And that
leg,
double
Steve
top
West.
means we now have our 6 allocated players. Ted Evetts is
Third
the
leg, Steve
final
Reynolds
player
to throw
through to
first.
Saturday night. And just a quick word for Steve Reynolds, who was maybe new to many people before he made his appearance on Monday morning. That quirky throw, a man from
59.
Stockport. He had a fantastic run in that tough Group A, which put him in this Group B. And he went right down to the last match for potential qualification.
140.
But Paul, what a magnificent 6 players we have tomorrow night.
You're not joking. My word. Where do we begin? Well, I'll tell you
59.
where we will begin. 7:30, Modus Super Series YouTube channel. Put your alarms on, click the notification bell if you are subscribed, and if you're not,
96.
subscribe and click the bell. And week 12, the finals, you will not want to miss that. 12 weekly titles amongst 4
60.
players and 2 heavyweight other players to see who gets the last spot in Champions Week in a matter of 2 days' time.
171.
We'll give him an honorary maximum for that.
$100. Steve Carr,
I
94.
wonder if Reynolds is going to stick around or whether he'll go back to Stockport after everything he's been through this week. I know that Hilton Klein's going to stick around.
54.
He's going to watch on Saturday night before he goes back to Botswana.
That's a nice touch. Got a big hug and a selfie with him earlier. Living the dream, he said.
100. Steve
Loved
Carr, 40.
every second. And it would appear Steve West is beginning to enjoy
Game
tonight.
shot on the
It didn't
third leg,
start
Steve
great
West.
tonight. It was one of the strangest performances that Steve's ever put in.
Fourth leg, Steve West to throw
But I think
first.
he always knew.
Game on.
I think he always knew in the back of his mind that he had a favourable conclusion to the night, playing Rian and playing Steve. The damage was done yesterday when he had that 4 out of 4.
140.
And he is beginning to show what we were asking. We were asking for a 100+ average as a reminder to himself and the other players that West means business.
41.
I think, with all due respect to Steve, at this point in this game, and in the game against Evetts in Game
95.
5, he will be pleased at how he's played there. The rest of them, I don't think so. I think he's got very high standards,
100.
and any time he averages under 93, he won't be pleased.
Yeah, he's always very honest in his assessment how it's gone, but you know, you talk about experience here at the Modus Super Series, and
120.
it's just about getting to Saturday night. We've seen so many players. Kerr Parry was the last one I saw where it was incredible. His qualification process was unbelievable. Brought a big
100.
crowd on the Saturday
Steve
night.
Carr,
It
146.
was almost like a different play. It's just about getting there tomorrow.
Yeah, good
82.
pick up there from Steve. And I promise you this time he's going to go for the treble 8. He let me down last time by getting the treble 16. I promise you he wants the treble 8.
95. Steve Carr, 64.
Well, let's see if Nico's right.
Oh, okay. I was wrong. I wonder if he's right. Well, for someone who
32.
doesn't really like double 16, that's a bit of a weird play.
Yeah, I have a feeling if he knew what he was averaging at that point, he'd have just gone and played safe, banged that 100 average in, and left the double-doubles for another time.
Do you know what? I'm going to stop
45.
predicting stuff.
Steve Carr, 32.
I predict double 16.
Uh-oh. Here comes a lob.
No score.
Not quite
Steve
there.
Carr, 120.
He'd have thrown that from nearly 8.5 feet.
It simply was from West. Well, no more
88.
mistakes here from Steve.
Steve McCarr 32.
As Reynolds, when offered a double, will
Game
usually
shown
hit
the
it.
four
No
by
such problem
Steve
this time for Steve. One away.
I promised you a little bit of a
Story.
story.
Steve Reynolds to throw first. Game on.
West is now projected to go to the number 1 spot to win the group, which will carry financial benefits and the ability to get away from Daryl Pilgrim
140.
and a certain Jimmy Van Ski in the group come Saturday night. But the footwear that Steve is wearing tonight is the usual footwear that he
85.
wears when he plays darts. He likes to be comfortable. And when you've been through the pain that he's been through, comfort is 100% of the time. And when he got married recently,
58.
he said, you know what, these are so comfortable that when I don't have to wear my wedding shoes, I'd like to have something rather similar. And his genius wife,
57.
Michelle, said, leave it to me. And he was wearing a lovely shade of light grey that day. She actually found the
95.
same trainers in the same colour as the suit. And at the evening do, he had the light grey trainers with the light grey suit. Perfectly matched.
136.
She's a keeper.
$140.
I think Reynolds is going to be thinking that he's missed an opportunity here the last couple of days. But he has been a valuable
Steve McCarr 68.
find from Stockport, and I am convinced that we will see him once again at some point in 2025.
Yeah, you'd expect to come back as a better player now. He knows what it's all about. He can hold his head up high.
43.
But is
Steve
that
McCarr,
his
83.
last 3 darts on what's been a great week for him? Because Steve West can see that winning line, but he's missed the big number.
43.
He's surprised as anybody.
Steve McCarr 25.
Yeah, that was way off target. Double 12 for Reynolds.
13.
And that might be that. You cannot
Steve
leave
McCarr,
Westy on
40.
tops at any time. This is to win the group.
Game
And the
shot of
group
match,
is his
Steve
once again. He's the mayor of Group B. It seems like every time he's in it. He hasn't even been playing that much recently, trying to conserve energy for week 12. He comes back to the Modus Super Series and he tops the group with a very, very good display. His best performance of the group. And when he wakes up on Saturday morning, he is going to be getting ready for a 7th Saturday night here at the Modus Super Series. So, just one more thing to do. Glenn and I are going to have a chat just to do the old post-mortem on the last 16 matches that we've seen in Group B. Results from Group B over the course of the last few hours. Steve Reynolds did start with a win, but unfortunately he couldn't end with one, and he needed a 4-0 victory in the last game against Steve West to deny Ted Evetts, but it is going to be Evetts, West, and it will be Pilgrim as well going through. This is the final table. Reynolds couldn't find his way up the table. Evetts was stagnating at third. Pilgrim couldn't quite win the group, and West only lost one game throughout the entire group, even though he probably played 2 games, Glenn, that he was quite proud of.
Yeah, I mean, record breaking Darryl Pilgrim, first of all. Ted Evetts, we expected to get through, but it wasn't as smooth sailing. But fair play to Steve West. Like I said, he hasn't been at his sparkling best. Just done what he had to do. A nice little 95 average there to finish it. It could have been better. It felt like a little bit of exhibition stuff at the end. But job well done. The 3 I thought would get through, did get through. But just a little shout out there to Rianne and to Steve, who played their part.
It was a really interesting group. I don't think that achievement of Pilgrim should be ignored, because when you only lose 2 legs all night and you've won 16, I mean, that is something rather special, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a bit of an enigma, isn't he? I mean, he just loves that stage up there. I mean, this is what he can do. The firepower is extraordinary. The 180s are just magnificent. And when you get the type of finishing that he was doing today, demonstrated with that 146 there, it was a dream night from a guy who was a record breaker.
His confidence is going to be pretty high going into Saturday night once again. But even with that, he didn't win the group because West did. And at times, especially in that first game, we were a little bit worried about Steve, but he was able to shake it off and get qualified in the next game.
I just think he assumed he was going to, he's going to qualify 4 out of 4. It was a real wake-up call. He just done what he had to do in that Group B, and it was a really tough group. And like I said, at times he looks $1 million, bullseye here, right smack bang in the middle. So he's done enough. Is he saving his best for tomorrow night?
Is there any better feeling than hitting a bullseye to actually accomplish the job?
Especially when your opponent's on a finish as well, under those circumstances. We hadn't seen an awful lot of bullseye finishes. We had a couple tonight. And, to top that group, the headlines, I'll probably go with Pilgrim. But the consistency, getting the job done, goes to Steve.
Ted Evetts this year has struggled to make Saturday nights. He will make his second appearance, but he hasn't ever been plain sailing, has it? Especially in this group.
Yeah, good point. It's never been plain sailing. He's had to rely on maybe finishing third to sort of get there to Saturday night. But he's a big-time player, is Ted. He can produce finishing like this. He got there in the end by hook or by crook. And how many times have we seen people who's finished third in Group B, then go on to qualify? But there's going to be 2 really tough groups there, because there's sometimes you can look at the 6 players and think the occasion might be a little bit too much for A, B or C, but there's 6 players there who proven pedigrees and chances to win it.
Well, let's confirm who we have got going through and how they did it. We've known about Jimmy qualifying via Group A on Wednesday afternoon. He was imperious, getting 13 wins from 15. He did it with games to spare. West wins Group B. Howson wins Group C. They were on a collision course the last time they were actually in a weekly final in week 11 of the previous series. Pilgrim, Whitehead, Evetts. What's not to like? But here is the big thing. Look at this. Group 1. That is got to be the most sickeningly strong group that we've ever assembled. Van Schie, 2 weekly titles. Darrell's got 3. Conan's got 2 and a series. That is the strongest group we've ever put together. It has to be, Glenn. One
of the big hitters is leaving. I mean, that's took my breath away, that one there. I mean, you win Group A, and that's what you're given as a reward for that. That is an absolute beauty and a fitting way to end a wonderful series. I mean, Group 2's not bad, but that Group 1 is that is a perler.
Well, Group 2's not bad either. I mean, Steve West has got the benefit of winning Group B. He's in there with Evetts, who was 3rd, and Howson is going to be on a collision course with West again. Richie Howson, just one thing on him, because he did win Group C with a really good performance by winning his final 8 games in a row.
Yeah.
He's got a nice streak going into Saturday, but he's been in 2 finals and never won a week here.
Yeah.
We shouldn't underestimate him, right?
No, he's consistent. Has he got the explosiveness to win a Saturday night? Because that's what he's going to need when you're up against the massive 180 hitters of Conan Whitehead and Darryl Pilgrim, who were in the same group as well. I mean, the semi-finals, Howson, West and Evetts will feel confident they can get out that group too. But yeah, I think every question that you're asking me right now, my mind just stuck with that group one. I'm blown away with that. And I'm just, probably the realisation that maybe the three players have just saw that as well. And yeah, that's just whetted the appetite even more.
Well, we'll let you get that to soak in overnight because we're looking forward to seeing you on Saturday night, 7:30. It will be rather explosive. We didn't really need to show you Group 1 just to get you enticed for Saturday night because we're going to come back for that. We know you are too, but that Group 1, you do not want to miss that. Group 2 is pretty good as well, but on week 12, we have promised a really good ending to 2024's qualifying weeks. We will not disappoint you. So 7:30 Saturday night. We hope you can make it at the Modus Super Series final qualifying week. I'm the SAT Paul Nicholson. He's been Glenn Dozer Durrant. And we are bidding good night right now. But Saturday night is not far away.